Brother, thank you for being on.
What's up, man? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we've been trying to get this now for, I want to say a couple months, but you're a full-time wrestling coach. Not a full-time wrestling coach, sorry, a head coach and a full-time teacher, which honestly is like almost 2 full-time jobs.
It really
So
is.
we had to wait until wrestling season was over and you had some downtime and the stars aligned, but here we are.
Yes, sir.
So if you don't mind, I had an idea of the structure I wanted for this conversation.
Okay.
And the thing that I actually wanted to start with first was GFL.
Okay.
Because for all of us in the MMA community, there was like a moment where like you're seeing all these social media posts of like this person got signed, and there's this new promotion called GFL. And I know that like on my Snapchat and my group chat, like everyone was like, what the fuck is GFL? Like, what is this? You know what I mean? And then lo and behold, EJ Brooks gets signed. Like EJ Brooks signed to GFL. It asked me, or it made me think of 2 questions. Number one, I had no idea that you were still trying to pursue fighting at that level because GFL was supposed to be like a premier organization,
Right.
not necessarily a local one. And then number 2, I didn't know that you were still training like that, brother. I didn't know that you were still putting in the work like that because you are a head coach and you are a teacher and all these other things. I didn't know if like you left that world and you know what I mean, decided to turn the page or what. So
Well, yeah. To be honest, I like to say semi-retired because I wasn't training like that. I hadn't been training like that. Coincidentally, I was actually one of the first guys signed to that organization. My announcement was in January, but I signed in October. And
of 2024.
Yeah. And my manager hit me up about it in, I want to say late August. And he was like, hey, because honestly, I want to get back into fighting, but not something serious. I kind of want to come in, probably have 2 or 3 fights and kind of have a retirement tour, like officially. I won my last fight dominantly, but I was like, you know what? I still got a little in the tank. Why don't I give myself a swan song, go out on my own note or whatever. So my manager was looking for stuff, and he hit me up. He's like, hey, I know a buddy on the board of this new organization that's coming out. I think you should take it out. And he was like, it's a team-based thing. Guys are going to get drafted to teams. There's a lot of money in it, so they thought.
Spoiler warning.
Yeah. So when he showed me like my contract, I was like, whoa, like
The numbers entice you.
Yeah, to be honest, I'm not gonna say any names, like, because I was connected with who I was connected with, and I signed early. My contract was better than like some pretty big guys who got signed to this organization. Like when they found out what I was getting ready to make, they were pissed.
Like, what the fuck?
I was just like, hey, first come, first serve, I guess. So I went ahead and signed in October.
Can I ask, forgive me, because contracts, especially in fighting, they have a lot of stipulations. I don't necessarily want to dig into the money of it, but the original contract, what shape did it take? Was it like multi-fight? Was it for like a season? What was the structure of that contract?
Okay, so everything I had was fully guaranteed.
What does that mean?
Like,
So you got paid even though they didn't?
if I lost, like if I showed up to fight, weighed in, got sick, couldn't fight, I'm getting paid what I'm
Oh,
getting
so
paid.
static flat rate, not
Yeah.
like a show and win
Yeah,
bonus.
Yeah. So, and it was
Substantial.
yes, 6 figures. It was close to 6 figures per fight for me.
Was it how many fights was like guaranteed on that contract? Because I'm trying to
I was
understand.
guaranteed to fight at least 3 times a year.
Okay.
I was guaranteed to fight at least 3 times a year. And like I said, each fight was guaranteed close to 6 figures. It was
Substantial money.
It was stupid. And that was also including revenue shares
Of the show?
of the show. And the way it worked out with me, if my purse was, let's say, $75,000 for the fight, if my revenue share for the show was 90, I got 90,000 instead of the 75.
Okay.
So they gave you whatever was higher.
So they had a minimum base rate, and then if numbers looked good on the show, then perhaps there was a superseding amount that would take over. Just wanted to take a second to pause the action and just tell you guys thank you so much for consuming our content. Easy Talk is a passion project. This podcast is just a bunch of like-minded people coming together to produce some cool stuff and talk to some cool people. One of the things I would very much appreciate is if you could possibly like the video or subscribe to the channel, just because it helps us in the algorithm and ultimately to grow, to get more exposure to everybody, including ourselves, and ultimately just make a better product. Take a second, I'd greatly appreciate it, and on with the show. So it wasn't on top of, it was in place of.
In place
that
of.
makes more sense, because I was like, wait, hold up now.
Yeah, and that was great. I was like, okay, cool. So that was cool. Like I said, I signed in October.
Yeah, you were one of the first guys to sign. I remember when I had Mike on, we talked off the record too, and he was talking about like how you're signing to GFL. Like it was before you announced it, because I had him on, I think 3 times now on the podcast, or at least twice. I gotta, forgive me, Mike, I gotta double check that. But it was the second time that he was on, and we talked a little bit, and then he was telling me that, and I was like, what the fuck is GFL?
Yeah. So, like I said, that happened in October. And then they start really dropping about people being signed, I think in January. And I was at a tournament. I remember I was at a tournament, obviously because I coach wrestling. I was at a tournament, and I hadn't told anybody. And part of the reason why I hadn't told anybody was because it kind of seemed too good to be true with this organization. So I was just like, let me wait till after the draft. Let me wait till things start, like we start getting show dates and opponents and stuff like that. Yeah. So I was just like, let me die down on that. And then, like I said, I'm at a tournament, and my manager goes, they're about to post that you signed, and you need to share this. I was like, oh, okay. He's like, have you been telling me? I was like, no. He's like, well, okay.
Now's the time.
So we're on the bus coming back from a tournament, and I'm just like, okay, yeah. And I retweet and, repost the Instagram story and on Facebook. And everybody's like, you fighting again? And what's this? I was like, oh, man, I'm in the middle of wrestling season. I don't feel like doing this. That's another reason why I didn't drop it, because it's like, if I'm in the wrestling season, one, I want my kids focused on what they got to get done, not about their coach about to go fight. 2, I don't want them worried about if I'm focused on my fight coming up or their season. So it's just like, I want my kids to know, like, I'm dedicated to you. Because honestly, I really wasn't thinking about it. Because the way I was looking at it was like, look, I wrestle with my kids, train on Sundays, do some boxing or something like that. Just keep myself in a little bit of a MMA phase. And then when season's over, now it's time to focus on the fight. Because I wasn't supposed to fight until like May, they told me.
And you roll with the kids when you, as a head coach, right? So like you keep in shape, you're rolling. Yeah. And you also had some, for those that don't know, you also had some like heavyweights and light heavyweights that were studs.
My heavyweight was state champ.
Yeah.
Now he's playing football at Mizzou.
So those aren't easy rounds either.
Yeah. And my lighter weight guys were really good. We had a pretty solid team. Yeah. We finished the top 16 in the state. So,
God bless.
Yeah, thank you, man. It was solid. So anyway, I ended up getting sick. Can't really go into detail really what happened, but it was kind of bad. I was worried I wasn't gonna be able to finish the season with my kids, but I was. And I told my manager, like, hey, I got this thing going on. It's weird. Doctors said this happens to like 3% of people in the world, blah, blah, blah. I can't even wrestle with the kids right now. So like, I don't think I'll be ready by May. So he talked to them, and they said, well, if he can't be ready, like, we're not putting him in the draft. He's going to be on standby. And I was like, okay, that's fine. It is
what it is.
Yeah, so they ended up taking me out the draft, which was fine. Then things fast forward, draft happens, team get picked. They asked me again, like, hey, do you think you'll be ready in June? We got some fights set up around your weight, but we think some guys might drop out, blah, blah, blah. Can you be ready? And I was just like, whenever doctors clear me to start training, I can be ready in 3 months. So until I give you that clearance, like, hey, I can go.
Which honestly is a lot of grace, because if like you're not training and if you're not doing anything in a 3-month camp, half of that camp is just getting back in shape.
Get back in shape, yep, yeah. So the first show was supposed to happen, and then it didn't, and that's
that's why I asked, because everything I saw about it, and I want to be careful how I say this, because I don't want to ever come across as crass or rude, because I understand how hard it is to like run any business, right? Mm-hmm. But just a lot of the shit that I was seeing like just didn't make sense to me. The whole draft proposition I just thought was weird. Like, either sign guys or don't. Why are you signing guys to then maybe? And then what I realized was, okay, this is a way to siphon people's social media. Mm-hmm. So what they did was they signed all these people, and made these posters about all these people so that all these people could share it on their social media without necessarily possibly having the intention of ever having them fight for them. So like in terms of marketing, it's genius. And then there's no real guarantee for any of these guys to have fights if they don't get quote unquote drafted, right? Yet they're still sharing the stuff and doing all these things. But then I just think that, and this is something that I learned from, and we could talk about it because you fought for Bellator, but do you remember when Bellator used to do those tournaments?
Yeah.
The Grand Prix, right?
Yeah.
And I guess they were trying to do it because it was like a Pride thing. Like Pride used to do the Grand Prix, and like Bellator was like, oh, we'll do it like that. I actually don't think that makes any fucking sense in fighting in general. And I don't think anything, like way back in the day with Chuck Norris's Karate Combat, the precursor to Karate Combat now essentially was like, they did like the state thing, and even St. Louis had a team, but it was like just fucking weird. Like the whole concept of having a team for fighting, which is an isolated sport, is just weird to me. And when we have so many variables that can pull us from fights, anything from, you know, I was doing everything right and something happened at training, like Evan Elder, he's just sitting on the side of the mat. Some guy gets flipped, kicks him in the chin, and breaks his jaw. Had nothing to do with him, right? So like, just shit can just happen. So like, I never thought of a tournament style or team style or any of this stuff to be like wise. I would do it exactly how the UFC does it. Is like volume, have a wide roster, and if guys fall out because we have so many shows, guys are constantly training. We can pull this guy, we can do this. Like I think the UFC has it down to a patent at this point, and that any other system other than that system doesn't work. But I could be wrong. I'd be interested.
They tried that when I first got into MMA. There was like a team form. I want to say it was called IFL.
Yeah.
And
that's a throwback. Damn.
Yeah, that shows how old I am. You know what
I'm sorry, I didn't mean it like that.
But yeah, I remember
the 20-somethings are like, what?
Yeah. And the way I looked at it, I was like, okay, this seems like a wrestling dual meet. You know, every guy goes out there at a certain weight. And I agree with you. You know, yes, I was in Bellator, and I wasn't a big fan of the tournament style just because of the politics, you know, who's in, who's out.
Ooh, that too. I didn't think about that.
And I was on the crap end of that. You know, like there was one time, no, there's twice I was supposed to be in the tournament, and I got pulled out because of politics, I would say. And it's like, you can't get a title shot unless you're in the tournament, you win it. You know, and I remember my last year there, they were like basically everybody knew that if I was in the tournament, I was going to win it at that time, okay? But I was told by people on the board that, hey, you know, the champ, who will remain nameless, I want
Michael Chandler.
it was like they don't want to risk him losing to you, so they're not putting you in this next tournament. And I was just like, that's whack. They're like, oh, we're still going to pay you good with your undercard fights, but you know.
Can I ask you a question?
Uh-huh.
Do you think that's all bullshit? Meaning that wasn't the reason. Maybe there was another reason they were trying to stroke your ego.
No, not at all. No, I think it was because the president back then didn't like me.
Was it Bjorn Rebson?
Yeah. And
Pre-Scott
at that time, I was a much better fighter than I definitely am now. I was in better shape. I was more disciplined, and I was a legit threat to their golden boy at the time. And I wasn't doing things the way the company wanted. Like, I was a party boy. Literally, my nickname was Pretty Boy EJ. And I was on my social media. I'm out in the clubs. I'm doing this. I'm in California. I'm in South Florida. I'm not the typical, you know, company man. And I don't think he wanted to risk me being, like, the guy at that weight at the time. Because at that time, like, they had Pat Curran, Michelle Chancellor, and a few.
Stop.
I'm just joking.
I love that, Michelle Chancellor.
Yeah, I was just kidding. Please don't hurt me.
Well, you and Chandler, you guys went to Mizzou together, right?
Yeah,
that's where that started, right? That
actually started
friendly
in high
rivalry.
School.
Oh, high school?
Yeah, we wrestled in a high school all-star match. Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, a lot of people don't. Yeah, they asked me to bump up and wrestle him because he was at 52. I was at a 45, and Illinois versus Missouri, they was like, hey, Missouri's got the state finals at 52. We think you can bump up and beat them. I was like, all right. So I did.
So I did.
Yeah, and then.
Can I do a small deviation? What do you think of him and his career at this point?
If I'm being honest, like
Yeah.
all jokes aside, like me and Dude had our rivalry in college. I'm not gonna say I wish the best for him just because we're not friends, you know. But I don't wish bad on anybody. I feel sorry for that dude
What do you mean?
because I believe outside of fighting, he has nothing else, and I think he's really put his health on the line to make the money that he's made to supply for his family, bro. Like to support his family, he sacrificed his health in the cage time and time again. Because when that dude get in the cage, he don't leave nothing in there.
Yeah.
He's a bloody mess, win or lose most of the time. He's a legit warrior, all respect. And I'm just like, man, you know what? Where's this dude mental game gonna be in about 10 years? You know, like,
Can I be honest with you?
what's up?
He's gonna have millions of dollars in the bank.
I believe it.
There's a lot of guys who do the exact same thing he did that won't have millions of dollars in the bank. I think I can understand like kind of what you're trying to allude to. Like, no matter what, it's a rough way to make a living, and I do agree with you on that one. But I know guys, and I'm sure you know guys that have been in wars as amateurs, let alone as professionals, or you know, like the chronic gym rat who goes way too hard in sparring and puts all the mileages on his body and chin in the gym and then goes out and like shits the bed in the cage. Like, I guess what I'm trying to say is we as fighters, we've all accepted and in one way, shape, or form that cost, right?
Yeah.
Like you were going in that cage just as I was, just as he is, just as any other fighter is, right? And in the back of our heads, we know that this could go if I'm not on my P's and Q's, if I'm not taking this seriously, this could go really fucking bad.
It has happened for me. So
Yeah.
one time.
Yeah, same brother.
Yeah.
So I guess what I'm trying to say is like we all did it. But my caveat with him is he's making 6 figures a fight, if not maybe a 7-figure contract.
He is killing it, and I support it, and I want to see it for his family. You know, raising those 2 boys.
But it is a tough way to make a living. Agreed.
Yeah, and what I mean by like it's his style.
Well,
You know, like he is a straight up in your face brawler, and it's like either he's getting finished or somebody else is getting finished.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you can only do that for so long. And he's done it from
For a
start
while.
to finish. And I'm just like,
Yeah, his
I know
first fight with Eddie Alvarez, even at Bellator, was
I know people whose name I won't say that fought like that are in their early 40s, mid 30s, and they're already showing signs of dementia. And problems with CTE. And I'm just like, man, you know. So that's why I said that's what I worry with him. Like every time I see him compete the way that he does, I'm like, hey man, you got a family. You know, how long? Like, because I'm not friends with him and we don't talk. How is he? What's he going to caveat to? Like, what's going to lead to?
Here's what I'm gonna say. Wherever the fuck he wants, because he's got money. You know how I had a businessman tell me the first million is your hardest to make. Because then you have capital and then you can do whatever you want. So like he's got, I'm sure that if you sat down with Chandler and you're like, you know, not necessarily businesses that he owns and operates, but if he's got like equity in this and maybe he's got like a profit share in that. I mean, think about it. If you have $1 million in the bank and someone comes up to you and says, hey, EJ, instead of getting a business license or a business loan or something like that, like, you know, I'll sell you 10% of my equity or whatever. It might be $100,000 up front, but now you have that in perpetuity. I guess what I'm trying to say is it's so much easier to make money when you have money. And even though the way he made his money was extremely violent and difficult, I would still say that like when people talk about, I'll give you an example of the people that I do worry about. The guys that never hit the top 15. Those guys I worry about because some of them have those wars as well, but they're not making the $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a fight. When Buckley was on his ascent, or when he got into the UFC, but he was fighting at 85 and not 70, he was kind of like back and forth, but he was having some fucking wars too.
Yeah.
He was finishing a guy and then he got finished and then, you know what I mean? This, that, or the other. And I think one of the wiser decisions he's ever made in his life was then like, okay, time to go down to 170 and then it was off to the races, right? Until Kamaru Usman, he was crushing guys. So then like you tack on more money. And now even when he loses to Usman in what I would argue is like one of his least violent fights, truthfully, like damage that he took, he's still getting paid, right? But how many guys are like Garrett Armfield, who had a couple UFC fights and now he's done? Or, you know, I want to be careful how I say this, like, I don't want to sound like a Debbie Downer or anything. I love this sport, and I think it creates opportunities. But I never worry about a Justin Gaethje, a Dustin Poirier, a Michael Chandler, because they are making really big amounts of money. So even though they are paying that price, 1,000%, I agree with you there. At least they're getting the millions, because I know guys that are paying that price and they're not making shit.
No,
And those are the guys I worry
like I said,
about.
I agree with you on that standpoint. Like obviously, I'm not worried about him financially.
Yeah.
Like I said, when I think about
The
him having
price.
kids and a wife, like look what happened with Ben Askren.
Bro.
Like I know, he was teammates of mine at Mizzou, known him forever. The first thing I was thinking about was his wife and kids.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, like yes, this sucks that it happened to him, but this happened to a father and a husband. Like think about his family losing him. So like I said, when I'm, honestly concerned for somebody like Chandler, Dustin Poirier, who I know, I'm friends with, who I've trained with, and he's like you said, Justin Gaethje. You look at these guys, you're like, man, y'all made a lot of money. This is going to lead to other avenues of revenue, but I worry that because of your style, it might cause damage that might affect you sooner than later, and you might be a vegetable. I'm praying that don't happen.
May I present to you?
Look up was it Nam Fan? Remember Nam Fan?
Namfan, or
How
what is
you
it?
say his name? Look at him now.
Oh, dude, you want to know who hurts me? BJ Penn. Have you seen the updates of BJ Penn?
I heard he went nuts.
Bro,
Yeah.
it's bad. Like he's like conspiracy making videos. He's like get kicked out of his house. It's dark. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sucks.
And I also hate, like, you go to the comment section on any of these things and everybody's saying this. Tony Ferguson as well. Everybody's saying the same shit. And I here's the problem. It's kind of like diagnosing from afar. So like, is it possible that through traumatic brain injury, these gentlemen could then develop real scars going forward in their life? Whether it's, hormonal imbalances, whether it's dementia, whether it's early onset Alzheimer's, whatever it could be. It could also just be like you go, you're still a violent guy from your life of violence, and you just don't have that ability to, exert those thoughts and that effort. What are you going to do afterwards? And I do agree with you on a lot of what you're saying. I guess my only caveat to that is, every time I fought, when I was trying to make like my run and everything, every time I fought, I thought to myself, like, I'm here for a good time, not a long time. And that, like, I know what I'm doing. I never once wanted anybody's pity. I never once wanted any of that stuff. And luckily for me, when I realized that I'm not going to be the best in the world, I was like, okay, then on to the next. And I had opportunities, right? When you say, like, I worry about what he could do. Like, he went to Mizzou. He's got a degree, just like you went to Mizzou and you got a degree. Like, worst case scenario, he could at any time be like, okay, enough knocks on the head. I don't like the way I feel, and I have a degree. I can go get a job. I have a name recognition. He could probably go get something with First Form and be, like.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You see what I'm trying to say is, like, I guess what I'm trying to go back to is, like, I don't feel bad for the guys at the top of the hill. In terms of, not the top of the hill of like a champion or anything, but like in terms of like what this sport can give you in terms of money, I feel bad for the guys that are doing they're having those same battles. They're having that same training camp and they're making 10% of what he's making. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'll give you a prime example. Dakota Bush is in Dustin Poirier's last camp, getting all those sparring rounds, doing all this other stuff. And like, Dakota's not fighting for hundreds of thousands of dollars, but Dustin is. Right. You know what I mean? So it's like, you got two guys literally training each other for this combat sport, but only one guy is going to be making that money and getting that notoriety and stuff like that. I feel more bad for Dakota than I do Michael Chandler. I feel more bad for Evan Elder than I do Michael Chandler. I feel bad for, and when I say I feel bad, I'm not like, it is by no means like a pity or something like that. They're crushing it in their own respects as well. But like, if you ask any of those guys, you're already paying the price. Wouldn't you want 10x the money? No one's going to say no.
Yeah.
Forgive me. We kind of went down
a
bit of a rabbit hole. Do you mind, though, if we talk about Askren?
No, go ahead.
Because I'll tell you what that did. I have a bunch of group chats, I'm sure you do as well, with like, this, that, or the other. Dude, I have like 3 that are with just like all guys, like we bro out, stupid memes and shit like that. And when the whole thing with Ben came on, either all of us are fighters, wrestlers, something in combat sports, we were all sharing it. We're all just like, holy shit. Like, it was a staph infection that spread to the lungs and became very aggressive and acute, like, overnight. And you got a guy like Ben who, by all intents and purposes, healthy lifestyle. I mean, not healthy in the sense of like we were talking about fighting and stuff like that, but kept in shape, not a big drinker, not a smoker, none of these other things. And then it happens to him. And then you see the videos of the before and after, and it's just a month and a half. And you're like, holy fucking shit.
Yeah. I mean, I lived with Ben one summer for like 3 months. Super healthy. He don't drink at all, from what I remember. You know, if he started drinking in adult life, that's news to me, but don't smoke, don't do drugs, not a drinker, trained, stayed in good shape, whether he was, you know, competing or not. He was one of the healthiest, by the book guys I ever met. So it scared me when it happened to him because I was like, if it could happen to a guy like that,
None of us are safe.
and hit him the way it did, like you said, nobody's safe.
Yeah.
Like it was crazy. It was like Ben of all people, you know, as healthy as he lives his lifestyle, for something to hit him like that was scary, man. I told you the first thing I thought about was his family.
And then you realize when the news breaks that his insurance is not going to take care of it. This is the part where I lose. This is why I always say I'm not like conservative. Like I'm you know, give me the issue and I'll tell you, because I'll be the first person to tell you like that should be illegal.
Yeah,
Like
that's
if
crazy.
you pay into this system and you signed a contract and you're making the monthly payments, or you're paying, you know, because most people do W-2, so like they get their health insurance taken out of their checks before they even get their money, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you don't even necessarily have an option at some points. That should be criminal that an insurance company can. I don't even know what the stipulation for was, why they didn't have
That's
to
what I was
cover
gonna
it.
ask. I was like, did anybody know why they said they wouldn't do
Even
it?
if it was too expensive, like let's say like, you know, your coverage caps out at a certain amount. Okay, well then pay up until that amount. If it's $2 million, but he gets coverage up to $1 million, then pay that fucking $1 million, and then let him file bankruptcy on the other $1 million if he has to or whatever. But you are owed that money by the contract that you signed, by the coverage,
They got the money. We pay a premium. You know, I'm a teacher, so I got health care through the school, but it comes out of my check. You know, we pay a premium every month, and for the most part, most people aren't going to the hospital every month, or you know, or urgent care or ER, so they're profiting millions, maybe billions a year.
100%. It's not even a question. United Healthcare is, I think, the most profitable. If I'm not mistaken, forgive me, Tony. Do you mind?
Well,
Go
first
ahead.
thing is they said the reason they didn't cover it was because it was just too expensive overall.
That is so wild to me.
Expense.
That's literally the
that's
reason.
nuts.
It's in the word insurance, to insure care or protection, or you know, whether it's like in the form of like your car or house, you're insuring the underlying asset. In the terms of healthcare, it's insuring your life. Like that should be illegal. You shouldn't be able to skimp out on that because of money. Now, and here's the problem, because I'm sure this is what's going to happen if you like dig deep into it. In the contract, it probably has some stipulation that some lawyer put in that said, like, if, you know, we will cover you up until this amount, but if the losses are an egregious amount, we reserve the right to make fiscally sane decisions and drop you. And like that's like the loophole that then prevents anybody from suing any of these companies. And what I'm saying is like that loophole should be illegal.
No, yeah.
Like if you're setting up a contract for insurance, it should be cut and dry. Like I pay you this much money based on, you know, this questionnaire that I get. Are you a smoker? Do you drink? How old are you? What's your zip code? Because that matters. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if I answer all your questions, then you do your algorithm and you spit out a monthly payment to me. I better fucking get everything that my money buys me. We wouldn't accept this for other things. Like I'll give you an example. If you buy an airplane ticket, okay, and the airline then says, hey, we didn't sell enough tickets, so we're just going to give you a refund and you don't get to go on your trip. You're like, but hold up, I set up the hotel, I got the rental. Like, you can't do that. We wouldn't accept this in other forms. Like, and there are laws in place to prevent that. Yet, in an instance that I would argue is more important, health insurance, like fuck going to vacation or a work trip, health insurance, they can do shit like this. And to your point about the profitability, it's not like they're hurting guys.
Right.
Because here's the thing. Look at the state of Illinois. Is it State Farm or Farmers Insurance? I think it's State Farm. They're going to increase because Tornado Alley is moving slightly to the right, or slightly to the east, I should speak geographically, slightly to the east. The state of Illinois, State Farm, is just going to increase everybody's monthly payments by like 27%. And Pritzker, your governor, is like actively trying to combat that, but like what can he do about it? And I get that insurance is a for-profit company, like for-profit industry. I get that. But we have to, as ourselves, like as a nation, as a society, you know, ask two questions. Number one, why is it that we are not in an economically stable situation to where people can just pay these bills off? Like,
27% hike in Illinois.
was it State Farm? State Farm. Thank
That's
you.
ridiculous.
So yeah, why? Because they're like, we're not
we're with
making
State
enough
Farm.
money.
That's
They cited because there were more losses. Like they're just more tornadoes, more droughts, more floods, whatever. Like more shit, right? So they're like, well, we got to increase our prices. And the question then becomes like, what were your profit margins last year and the year before that and the year before that? Don't you have like, I guess what I'm trying to say is any stable business does not like, I don't make $50,000 and go, ooh, okay. And then I take that $50,000 and I put it in my own like bank account and say, we made $50,000. What do? You take a little bit, maybe like 10,000, I'll put it in my own. And then I want to keep like 40 in the bank because I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Like, I don't know, like, okay, just because we did good business today doesn't mean good business is going to happen tomorrow. Right. So you make financially secure decisions, not just for your own business, but for your employees, your constituents, the shareholders and stakeholders that benefit from that company. So like, if there is 1 year where damages increase, it doesn't make any fucking sense that they can just immediately go 27%. Let me give you a caveat. If 1 year there's no tornadoes and no floods, do you think they're going to reduce prices by 27%?
No, not.
Or do you think they're going to pocket the fucking difference?
$5.3 billion in 2024.
In added payments or profit?
Profit.
From State Farm?
State Farm.
From what, the state of Illinois?
No,
or just in general?
In general.
So they're in the green, profit, not like EBITDA, profit 5.3 billion.
Yeah, just straight profit.
Go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself.
5.3 billion.
So like, you have the cash on hand. And I get it that there's risk assessors, there's like actuaries, there's a slew of people whose job it is to take in data and then make the best possible decision for the company. I understand that. It goes back to my thing of like legality. I don't judge the company for doing this because they're going to do whatever is in their best interest. But I do fault the humans. There's a special place in hell for you. There really is. Yeah. Because the money's there. The argument of profitability and all this other stuff, it falls flat on its face when you're 5.3 billion in 1 year. So like, Agreed. Even if you took that loss, let's say you're 4 billion this year because Illinois had more tornadoes and shit like that. And then guess what? If next year, if you can show me like that trend is like, hey, we're not really going in a good trajectory, we might need to increase it by like 10% to offset some of these losses. I'm here for that conversation. But the second it happens to increase it by 27%, you never hear the inverse. You never hear the inverse. If Tornado Alley is moving to the east, fine. Then all those states in the west that aren't in Tornado Alley anymore, do their home insurance prices go down? I haven't heard like Wyoming drop their, State Farm drop Wyoming's home insurance by 27%. No. Did you? I didn't.
No, I didn't.
State Farm's actively leaving California.
Yeah.
State Farm.
Well, there's also insurance companies that are actively leaving Florida too for the purposes of hurricanes. And here's the problem. We say that we're a free market. We say that we're capitalists and all this other stuff. But when these companies don't do right by the constituents, it's going to lead to people saying that the government should handle it. And what it is it's a self-fulfilling prophecy of shooting yourself in the foot. Because if enough health insurers don't cover the people, if enough home insurers don't cover the homes, if enough car insurance don't cover the car, then we all collectively as a society go, what the fuck are we doing? Why not have the government just do it for zero profitability or like essentially do like a surplus tax rebate on people if there is being money made? And if there's not, then subsidize it. Why not? At this point, even as like a conservative, like I'm a financial conservative, it is a hard stretch for me to tell you, why not have single payer health care? Why not have government-backed housing insurance per state? You're not getting your money's worth now. What's the argument, gentlemen? I don't have one. So forgive me, I kind of went down a little bit of a rabbit hole because of the Ben Askren thing. No. But I don't have I genuinely don't have a good response to young kids like that are like leaning socialist and stuff like that, where they're like, well, these for-profit companies are like, you know, pillaging and I don't want to say the R word, but graping our wallets, and they're not wrong. My car insurance is $400 a month, just for my car, my home, and everything else like that, dude.
Just your car?
Just my car, $400 a month. When I was his age, my car payment was $200 a month.
Right, same.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, we're with State Farm and. Yeah,
I love them. They're great. They cover me.
I mean,
no, but you're in Illinois, so guess what, brother?
And,
enjoy that 27% increase.
I'm not. And then,
by the way, on average, because if you live in Chicago where there's less, they're going to have less. But if you live in like the more rural areas or the flatter areas, you're gonna get more.
Yeah.
It's 27% is the
I was
average.
definitely, yeah, I'm out kind of in the country.
Yeah, you're gonna get the raw end of that stick.
But
Sorry.
our car insurance is about $300 with 2 cars.
2 cars, yeah. Well, I also bought a nice car, so I kind of shot myself in the foot there. But like, it was just one of those things where I thought to myself, I genuinely, this is gonna sound super douchey, I don't need car insurance. If I wreck my car, I can buy another car. And if I wreck somebody else's car, like, I don't want to say I could buy their car, like if they're driving like a fucking Bugatti or some shit like that, I'm not trying to buy, you know what I mean? But I guess what I'm trying to say is like, if I hit a Ford or a Toyota or like another Mercedes or something, I could probably buy that car too. So then why do I need car insurance? Why can I not insure myself?
Yeah, insurance definitely is a scam.
Why can't I say, this is how much money I make in a year? Barring me hitting, you know, an 18-wheeler carrying diamonds, like...
The way I look at it, and obviously this will never happen, I feel like if you have any type of insurance and you don't draw from that insurance in the year, you should get some portion of that money back.
Here's why I disagree. Because every argument I just made falls flat on its face if we do a rebate. What I'm saying is they made $5.3 billion.
Right.
Make your money. That's the part of insurance that does suck. I have health insurance and I haven't gone to the hospital in the last like 3 years. I'm paying for insurance with every paycheck and everything, and I haven't used it. Fine, I haven't needed to. But when I need it, it better be there.
It better be there.
And if you make $5.3 billion, great. I'm glad you did. But then you know what I also want to hear? You know, what's your percentage of rejection? If you make $5.3 billion and you have like a 10% rejection rate, okay. If you make $5.3 billion and you have a 50%, like United Healthcare was at what? Like 60% rejection rate for their... The reason why Luigi Mangione took matters into his own hands was because United Healthcare at the time was like, maybe 60 is a gross number, maybe it was like 40, forgive me, maybe 60 was the positive, but it was like 40% rejection rate, universal. So like, if you had United Healthcare and you went to the doctor, you needed some surgery or whatever, and then you try to tap your insurance, they rejected 40% of their claims.
That's crazy.
And then you wonder why someone gets gunned down on the streets of New York.
Yeah, I heard he was having some issues with his neck or something like that.
I don't know, but what scares me too was like the societal reaction. I saw that and I go, dude, I thought the same thing you thought. Yes, this guy is a CEO of this company.
32%.
32% rejection.
Yes.
Okay, so sorry, it wasn't 60%, that was gross, but it was like close to 40% rejection. So 32%. A third of your claims are rejected. Okay, then yeah, give a third of your profits back to the people that paid for their insurance.
Yeah. But like you said, what
was United Healthcare's profits in the last calendar year? Do you mind Googling that? I'm sorry, brother. I got you working overtime on this one, but because if they're doing 32% rejection rate and they're making $5 billion, I'm gonna get pissed. Is it that? By the way, turn on your mic if you're talking.
I have this.
Okay. We're doing this in real time, so forgive me.
Oh my god. You're not gonna be very happy.
More than 5? What's the number?
14 billion.
14 billion with a 32% rejection rate. Wow. That should be illegal. That should be illegal. I'm there. You start saying numbers like that, yeah, government assisted, whatever then.
A decrease, though, from the 22.4 billion from the previous year.
Oh, and it took one bullet. Or actually, a couple bullets, but you know what I'm getting at. That's insane.
And yeah, that was, it was, I didn't know how to feel about his whole situation, him getting taken out, seeing people celebrate it, because I was also like, dude's got a wife and kids.
That's exactly what I thought. Say what you want about the guy. He's a father. He's a brother. He's a son. And like, you know
what's the most ironic about the situation though is that the CEO came from nothing, and like the people celebrating him was like, this is downfall of capitalism handown. But the CEO was like the inverse of Luigi Mangione, who came from a lot of wealth.
Usually the trajectory of like familiar wealth or like legacy wealth is like no longer than 3 generations. So like if your dad's a millionaire, you have like a higher propensity to lose that wealth than build on that wealth, and then your children have the highest propensity to like erase that wealth. So the odds of you being a rags to riches, at least in the state, in the countries, is at least in the United States, is probably higher than any other country in the world. I'm kind of anecdotal evidencing that. Forgive me. bro math, right?
Look at OnlyFans.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, businesswoman
Yeah.
conducting business. But I guess what I'm trying to say is like, I think the ultimate sin is the dissolution of your judgment and your decisions by disassociating that from yourself, and the excuse of like it's business. It's like, yeah, but dude, your business is the livelihood of people. If you're selling lemonade and you're like, we're gonna cut the sugar in that drink by half in order to save money, okay, well then if people don't like your product, let the market decide.
well, black people ain't gonna drink it. I'll tell you that right now.
I don't know. I guess what I'm trying to say, dude, is, you know, I have these like ebbs and flows where like I become more conservative because of things that are happening. Then I become like a little bit more liberal because I'm like, yeah, you know what I mean? And right now it's like not necessarily liberal or conservative, but it's like, you know, capitalist and like free market versus like, dude, you guys are starting to like lose the plot.
Yeah, with anything, whatever we're talking about, I lean more towards conservative with most things, liberal with some, but I just worry about people who are radical on both sides.
Agreed.
You know, that's
And they
you know,
exist.
They go too far right, too far left. I'm just like,
And
I
they're
see
all arguing on Facebook with each other.
oh yeah, that's what,
like-
and story time on TikTok and stuff like that.
You could tell by a guy's profile picture if he's going to argue with you about politics on Facebook. Because it's usually like his face, like way too close, and like Trump, like it's either like Trump 2024 or I'm with her. And then you're like, get on their wall and be like, she sucks or he's a pedophile, and then just like let it take care of itself.
How many of those people are bots? Is a crazy part
I think
about
it would
arguing with
shock.
each
I
other.
think if you're talking about like Instagram, TikTok, and stuff like that, Twitter, I would agree with you. I think you'd be shocked at how many people on Facebook are not bots. Facebook is like old people
Old
now.
people. It's
Like
us.
no, your generation does you.
Starting to get that. Instagram's starting to get that too.
Yeah.
For old people.
Yeah,
I know.
I know. Someone told me recently because like for the podcast we only have Instagram. I was thinking about making a Twitter, but I was like, I don't care enough. And then the guy was like, Instagram, ew. Instagram's like it's all on TikTok and all that stuff. But I will not make a TikTok because I will not give China that win. I will not give China.
I just got a TikTok.
Congratulations,
a few-
China won today.
They did.
China
dude.
won
And
today.
It was only because I lost a bet to my wrestling team.
Oh, okay.
Because they kept telling me that I was, coach, nobody looks at Instagram or Facebook. You got, because I would post stuff for the team.
Yeah.
Like, you got to get a TikTok.
I got Instagram.
Yeah.
I clicked the heart on your posts.
Yeah, and the reels and stuff. Yeah, I
Yeah.
appreciate the support. Anyway, I lost a bet, and they're like, you got to get TikTok. And I was like, okay. It was either that or dye my hair gold.
China was not winning that day.
I didn't want to look
and
like
I'd be
Cisco.
coming in here extra frosty.
Like I said, I didn't want to look like Cisco. So.
How long until? Let me see that.
And they didn't even know who Cisco was, which really made me old.
Bro.
Like, y'all ain't never heard thong, 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 thong?
No,
And they was like, what?
no. Their music now is like fucking.
Cisco.
Yeah.
Right.
Your music now is like.
And-
I tried listening to like new music. And I fucking vomit in my head. It's like everything is. Dude, this I'm gonna sound like a old man. It's all about like taking some pill or doing some stupid shit, and I'm just like,
Zanny with a tranny.
Yeah.
You know?
tranny.
That's
As
what
long as
y'all
my
be
dick's
on,
bigger.
Yeah, man.
So I'm just saying.
Cisco, man, look up thong, 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 thong. And I'm not speaking Asian. All right? You know what I'm saying? But, nah, this new music today, everybody, the YNs got the ski mask on. And it's just,
I don't like new music.
Dude, they used to. No, you guys used to give me shit for like the summer classes that I would do. I would handle these off-season wrestling. So like it would be at Finney's. This year it's at the high school because like I was a volunteer coach at the time. Now I'm like an assistant coach. You know what I mean? So now we're doing this year at the high school. But when we would do it at Finney's, I was like the DJ, and I'll be playing like Careless Whisper, Usher, and shit. Like, I was like good fucking music.
I put on my old school mix. It was like early 2000 stuff. And I played Nelly Tip Drill.
Oh
And my boys were like, who is
that-
this? I
no
was
way!
like, first of all, it's Nelly. Like, I ain't never heard this. And I was just like, yeah. So they started asking me to put my stuff on and hook up my iPod. And it was like, you still got an iPod? I was like, yeah, I still got an iPod.
Dude, I had a floppy disk in my car, and one of the kids on the wrestling team, when we had to go drive to a tournament because we didn't get the buses, they saw it, and he goes, "Oh, you 3D printed the save icon,
Wow.
the save, like on Word."
I know that, yeah.
And I was like, "No, that's a fucking floppy disk," and I don't even know what the floppy disk was from. I just had it.
A
You know what I
desktop
mean?
computer.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what it was
yeah.
from,
I
yeah.
guess I don't know. It was like an old. I don't even remember like why I had it, but
that was
I was like, "You mean the
old.
floppy disk?" And they're like, "What's that?" And I was like, holy shit, you guys, you
Because,
know it as the save
the
icon.
flash drives, which replaced them, came out in like 06,
Bro,
05, 06.
flash drives are old now. Everything's on the cloud.
Everything on the cloud.
Everything's a share drive.
Yeah.
I just got a new computer with a flash drive, and then my dad was like, "You better keep the flash drive because you might need it." I'm like,
You have no idea. Nobody uses a flash drive. I'm throwing this away. Nobody uses that.
I got some flash drives at the home that I got stuff on there that bro. Like it
Government ain't finding this.
Yeah, no.
I got a bunch of my buddies that on their work laptops, like they put paint over the camera, or not paint, sorry, they'll tape over the camera. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? They're like, well, I don't want the government to watch me. I was like, listen, if someone goes through my webcam from Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., they're going to see me doing one of two things. One's extremely boring. The other one, they don't want to be watching. Like, don't get fucking twisted. That's on you.
Man.
My FBI agent's like, oh, Jesus Christ, not again.
Now, like, we got Ring doorbell. Like, we have like the Ring camera thing, and we have them in the house too. And like
In the house?
in the house,
In the bathroom?
Nah,
Party at EJ's.
Nah, kids room.
He
living room.
he read the Diddy
Actually, you know
book.
what? Actually, I'm not gonna say where they're, but they're all around the house. Okay.
I'm sure they are.
And like, I'll be
The
at
freak
home.
ops.
Yeah, my wife works nights at the hospital. And
You come to EJ's house. He's like, let me show you why they call me pretty.
no Diddy over here, man. But I'll be at home, playing, Call of Duty or whatever, Madden. I'm online playing video games, and I'll see the light flashing on the camera, and I'm just like, nah. So then I'll click it, cut it off or whatever. My wife will come home next day, is like, why's the camera off? I was like, because either you or somebody's hacked the camera and watching me. I feel awkward, dude. I'm not finna sit there and see that the camera's blinking and somebody could be watching me. It's just,
I just don't give a fuck.
I don't know.
China won that day when I gave up like that. I don't know if it's because I know that the days of true anonymity or privacy, they're dead. You have your phone on you, they could geolocate you. Your phone, the microphone is on. Your phone, the camera can be tapped at any moment. Your computer at home, your laptop, any sort of electronic that you have can be tapped at any time. You drive a Tesla or any sort of electric vehicle or any car that's made after the year 2021, congratulations. Like, they could turn off my Mercedes whenever they want.
Yeah, that's why I don't want to lecture. I'm actually telling my wife.
No, my Mercedes isn't even electric. They can still turn it off. That's what I'm trying to say is, like, anybody that has a car from like 2022 on and you think like, oh, well, mine's mechanical. Yeah, good luck with that, dummy. They can turn your shit off whenever they want.
Yeah, they can. But like I said, that's another reason why I don't want a Tesla. And I was telling my wife, I was like, we should get 2 more cars that were probably made in the
Have
late
you test
90s.
drove Teslas?
No.
Test drive a Tesla. I'm telling you right now, my next one's going to be a Tesla.
Again, computer based.
Gay? You ever drive a Roadster?
"Which one's that?"
$125,000 one? Bro, insane. 0 to 60 in 1.9 seconds.
Is that the
My balls went in my body.
That's crazy.
I hit it, and my passenger was like, stop! Dude, it's insane. Also, incredibly heavy cars because of the batteries. Like, it's kind of, you think like, oh, like this is, because it's not an SUV or whatever. It's like your typical kind of sedan.
Small Dodge Neon or
Yeah.
something
So
like
you're
that,
thinking like, oh, it must be like, no, it's like 6,000. It's incredibly heavy because of the battery pack. So like when it rains or it snows or whatever, it handles like a beauty. It's an amazing vehicle.
Yeah, I heard
now,
those Cybertrucks can like power your house.
yeah, but here's the problem. I also live by a city. So it's like, know your target market, right? Like, if I lived in Austin, Texas, where like the next city that I would have to drive to is like, 2-3 hour drive away, maybe I won't buy that. Maybe I do buy the gas guzzler for just like the convenience sake or the security. But like how many miles do you drive away from home Monday through Friday? 20?
Not even.
Not even.
I teach at the middle school in town, so unless it's wrestling season, I'm probably 10 miles.
Yeah. So that's the same thing with me. Like I'll fill up my tank like once every 2 weeks. And like someone will tell me like, oh, well, they only get like 300 miles to the charge. I'm like, yeah, but I'm driving like 10, 15 miles a day if. Yeah. So,
I fill up about a week and a half.
And then if I have the charger in I'll give you a step further. Like if I have the charger in my garage when I park my car at night and I just load that thing up, the thing's at 100% every day. Every day I have a full tank of gas essentially. And then I have someone who bought a Tesla, and they were telling me in like the first year they spent $100 on charging for a year. $100. I, on average, will spend anywhere between $2,400 and $3,000 a year on gas. So I'm not saying that it's like the future. That's not what I'm saying. I think the future is going to be like a mixed economy, right? Where you'll have the gas guzzlers, and you'll have the hybrids, and you'll have this. But until you create like a really clean form of energy and you start to make electric vehicles cheaper, then they won't necessarily like supersede. Because right now, I think even the cheapest Tesla is $40,000. It's just kind of like, good luck trying to tell a college kid, hey, buy this $40,000 car. No, they're going to drive the Honda. You know what I mean? And that's the problem with technology versus mechanics. So like a mechanical vehicle will last a lot longer because technology degrades faster. So like if you buy a used Tesla for 10 years, they say something like the batteries degrade at a rate of 10% per year. So like in the first year, if you have 300 miles to the charge, by year 2, you'll have 270. And then by year 3, you'll have 251 or something like that. You know, you'll always lose about 10% of your battery life every year. So like 10 years, you'll have like 150, like you'll essentially hit the half-life of your battery charging. So it's just not necessarily conducive to long form, but the recyclability of those materials is easier. So there's an argument to be made to and from. Once again, I don't know why we went down this rabbit hole. I'm so sorry.
How you good?
But test drive a Tesla and then tell me.
I got you.
If you don't mind me asking, because we were talking about GFL and your career and everything, and I don't mean this in a derogatory way at all, but I do, because you are 39 years old. You were talking earlier about like how you wanted to kind of do like this like swan song kind of like retirement, part of your career, maybe 2 or 3 fights. Can I ask, is that still the plan? And if it is, I genuinely would want to know why you feel like you want to do that. Like, why haven't you hung them up yet? Not that I think you should.
No,
I'm just
maybe I should. Who knows? It's one of those things where it's like I like to compete. Sometimes I get the itch, and I'll walk in the gym here and there. I'll be fat and out of shape, and I'll go with, a young up and coming guy, and I'll piece him up, and I'll be like, oh man,
I still got it.
Like I still got it. Why not get in shape and see what I got left? So that's really the main thing. It's like I want to get in shape, see what I got left, and I'll know through training. Like once I get to the point where like I'm in shape, I'm ready to fight, I'll know if I want to continue to do this long term. But realistically, I'm looking like I kind of want to just get in shape, take a safe fight, see how that fight goes, and if I want to continue, then be like, hey, look, let's look for something, And also, I got 2 kids. My daughter's gonna be 5 in September. My son's, he just turned 3 a little bit ago.
God bless.
Thank you, sir. I wouldn't mind having them see me compete at least once. Like they've seen videos of me on YouTube and like, oh, that's daddy. It's like I would like them to say they saw daddy compete once.
Live,
yeah.
I can understand that. I think that when the time comes, I will have one more, and it's exclusively for that.
Yeah.
I want my daughter in the crowd, and hopefully by then I'll also have more kids.
Yeah, I got this vision of my wife, and if it's local, my wife and kids in the crowd. Because if it's not local, it's gonna be streamed. They're probably at their Meemaw's house. With Peepaw, watching. Getting to watch me on the TV screen, and have my wife come in the cage, or my kids if it's local, and just hanging it up like that.
Have you had conversations with your wife? Does she like? My wife is very much in the camp of like, whenever I bring it up, it's not that she would prevent me, but she's definitely like the one that kind of brings me back down to earth. Like, why? Like, what do you need to do? Like, what do you need to prove? Like, she was never an athlete like that, so I don't think she kind of like understands that aspect. And I like that about her because she's kind of like a blank slate. She's unbiased. She's like, why would you want to do all that? Like, you're doing so many other things. Like, why do you feel like you need to take a step back? That's what it is to her, taking a step back. And I'm just trying to I'm trying to explain to her like, no, you don't understand. If I didn't do this, I wouldn't be this.
Right.
You know what I mean? If I didn't have wrestling when I was in high school, I would have never been a fighter. And if I wasn't a fighter, then I would have never been what I am today. It's like you had to have that to have me where I'm at today.
Exact same story with, you needing wrestling to take you where it took you, because it happened and it did it for me. coincidentally, my wife is my biggest fan, my biggest supporter, on and off the mat for the most part. She was an athlete in high school, pretty solid athlete.
What did she play?
She played basketball,
Gotcha.
softball, volleyball.
Oh, multi-sport athlete.
Yeah,
Nice.
she was. My wife's 6 foot.
Damn.
Yeah, I know, breed material. So,
Who said that like
Bro.
a couple podcasts ago?
I don't know, but EJ said it now.
dude, I was just.
He said breeding
dude,
material.
you know, that's.
There's something to that, brother.
No,
There's
it
something
is.
to
I
that.
purposely, like when I met my wife, I was like, yeah, she the one. She checked every box. Like, I got a thing for nurses. So I see a woman in scrubs. She's a nurse. Tall, athletic.
You're solidifying so many black stereotypes right now.
Yeah, but she not fat. So
No, you didn't.
I'm just keeping it a buck, you know. She don't wear hoop earrings. But no, you know, when I met her, you know, she was just super supportive. I mean, if I'm being honest, I met my wife in a very pivotal time of my life. I think I was 31, going on 32, and I was changing as a man, you know. So I wasn't really doing the pretty boy EJ stuff.
You're settling down.
I was slowing down. I was like, man, I gotta go back to school. I need my master's. I need this. I need that. You know, I gotta divert from putting so much time into fighting.
When did you start your career in education?
2009, 2010 school year.
Oh, so you've been a teacher for a minute. Okay.
Yeah, for a while. I've been in education for a long time. About 15 years now. So
How did you meet your wife? Through school or?
Nah, I swipe right.
Nice.
Right, yeah.
Tinder, Bumble.
Yeah, Tinder. It was Tinder. Yeah.
You're okay. And you married and had kids. You are now the 6th person I know that met their wife and is like in a healthy relationship due to
And
Tinder.
what was crazy was like, I wasn't even taking that thing seriously.
Yeah.
Like it was just like I was like, look, dude, I saw her, we matched, we talked, we had a date, and
Where was first date?
first date. Where did we go? She gonna be mad at me for getting this.
You gotta talk all that shit on Michael.
Oh
Chandler.
no. So no, honestly, we went downtown St. Louis. We stopped at Pie.
Oh.
It was right there by MX movie theater.
Yeah.
So we had dinner at Pie. Then I went down to the Landon because my homegirl was bartending. Her name's Sierra Heatherly, Chris Heatherly's sister. She was the manager at the Big Daddy's down there.
Shout out Stump.
Yeah. Went out down there, had a drink, walked by the arch, then met up with some friends, kind of bar hopped through Soulard,
And she was with you.
and she was with me. Yeah.
And she could hang.
Yeah, oh, definitely.
Yeah.
She's a country girl. So I couldn't hang. She drink better than I can. To tell you the truth. So,
And he thought six. What was she drinking? Vodka, something heavy, or?
no, she was vodka girl.
All right, so
Vodka
6 cranberry vodkas in. He's like, this might be the one.
girl. Oh no, dude. I'm telling you, I knew. Here's the thing. I knew she was the one when we met in person. One, I knew she was real because the conversations we had before. I was like, man, she's checking all the boxes, personality, lifestyle. She actually, even though she played basketball, she came from a wrestling family.
Oh, nice.
Like her dad and uncle wrestled, and they were both really good. So she was all about
Are
wrestling.
they still alive?
Yeah.
So you guys vibe on that as well?
Oh, yeah. Family loves me.
Nice.
Yeah. So when I met her, I was like, oh man, you know, obviously my wife is beautiful. You know, I'm not just saying it. Like my wife is beautiful. You know, I told everybody, I was like, I'm gonna marry this girl. I promise you that. And everybody's looking at me like, you gonna marry somebody? I'm like, yeah, she's gonna be my girlfriend here soon, but I promise you, like, I'm gonna marry this chick. And it happened. It worked out.
How long did you guys talk before you like physically met up?
Probably 3 weeks.
Okay, so you guys gave it a good amount of time of like corresponding back.
She
and
was
forth.
busy. I was busy. You know.
Which is actually a good thing because that means that they have their own life.
Yeah. Very professional. Very professional.
And what does she do for work out of curiosity?
She's a nurse.
Nice. God bless, man. So with regards to your career with combat sports, it's clear that you do have that backing. I mean, even your father-in-law and stuff like that will definitely understand that competitive fire. You know what I mean? And I can understand the concept of wanting your children to kind of see that legacy that you've built for yourself. But obviously there's a shelf life on it. Is there like, you're going to have these 2 or 3 fights no matter what? Or is there like a certain age you're like, I'm done with this shit? Because we were talking about Michael Chandler, right?
Yeah.
And I know that you said the word like safe fight, but I don't think those exist, truthfully.
Right.
Because
So
everybody's dangerous.
what I mean by safe fight is like, I'm not trying to fight some 7-8-0 up and comer, young 23-year-old stud.
You want another veteran?
Yeah, another veteran, you know, or somebody that really ain't that great, and just go.
Do you
out
think
there
they should create like a veterans league? Because I've heard a lot of like ex fighters who like they retired because they don't want to compete against these hungry young guys anymore.
Yeah.
They're like, I would love to fight another.
And they don't
want
want to take stuff to be able to do
Yes.
that. That's another thing. I'm like, you know, I'm not.
When you say stuff, you mean like test or the drugs
I'm
and
talking
hormones?
about like everything. I'm talking about like everything. You know, like I remember being. Actually, I'm not even gonna say what gym I was at, but I was at a high-profile MMA gym training with like UFC champs, top world-ranked guys,
And everyone had a physician.
and one of the guys was like, "EJ, I can't believe you're not in the UFC, bro." Like, because I was kind of down there piecing some guys up, and I said, "Well, you know, I'm not, you know, cheating. You know, I'm having a hard time, like." Because at the time, one of the main things that kept me from getting in the UFC was like I was winning, but I wasn't finishing guys.
Was this pre-USADA?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
This was the Wild Wild West.
they were telling my manager, they was like, look, like, we like EJ, but he's not finishing guys. He's not exciting. And I'm like, well, if I was taking stuff, I would, but I'm not. You know, one, I didn't need to. I was young, you know, stuff like that. So a couple of guys at the gym was just like, bro, you're not taking this, and that? And I was like, nah, dude. I was like, man, I can't cheat. And they was like, dude, everybody's cheating. I was like, no. And they was like, no. I take this, he takes this, he takes this, he takes this, she takes that, she takes. I was like, what? And I off camera, I'll tell you, but I'm not gonna tell you on this.
I have a story off camera as well.
Yeah, and like somebody who I have the utmost respect for was like, EJ, everybody takes something. Look me dead in my face, and it was in support. Like he was like he wanted to see me in the UFC.
Yeah.
He was like,
he thought
like,
he was giving you good advice.
Yeah, I was like,
And honestly, at the time, maybe it would have been.
yeah,
That's a tough thing to say out loud, but it's like,
Yeah.
you know, when people give John Jones a whole bunch of shit, I'm like, you gotta take it into consideration when he was coming up. And if he was at some point in time cheating, so was everybody else.
Yeah, I love when DC tries to call him out, and he had like the weight gate. Remember when he had
Oh,
he
the
put his hands
towel?
on the
Yeah,
towel?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
dude, you missed weight.
John has like the best fucking quote. He was like, "You were the best 206.6 pound champion, you know,
Yeah.
because you didn't make 205."
Yeah, it was just like,
He lost 1.5 pounds in like 2 minutes or something like
yeah.
that. And every wrestler
And you didn't go
gave him
through-
one of these. Like, by the way, Hamzat Chimaev did the exact same thing in Abu Dhabi once. And then after that, now they have that. So like the rule is like you have like a square with the UFC towels, and you can't like no one can touch the towels at all. Yeah. Listen, I'm gonna say this though. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. That's always been the thing.
I told my wife. I'm just playing. I'm just playing. I'm really. Just
She's
playing.
like, "Oh, okay, I see you." And you're like,
Yeah.
"Hold up, baby. I didn't mean it like that."
No, I don't want to have to get her out of jail. Because if I was cheating, she would definitely take them out. Real talk. That's not even a joke.
Same with my wife, dude. My wife.
Yeah, I had to tell a woman one time. She was so delusional. I was at a bar with my buddies, and I think she dropped her phone, fell out of her purse. So I went to grab it and give it to her. She was like, "No, I'm not interested." And I'm like, "This is your phone." And she's like, "Oh, I thought you were trying to flirt with me." And I was like, "No, I wouldn't put your life in danger like that." And she's like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah, my wife would take you out if she even thought I was interested."
Dude, can I tell you about a time my wife, like, I didn't know this about Bruna, but, like, she's got a fire in her. We were at some, like, get-together. It was, like, a high school thing or something, like a reunion or whatever, and some girl from high school, like, all she did was, like, put her hand on my shoulder. And then, like, we were laughing or whatever, and then, like, we stepped away, and then Bruna comes up to me, she's like, "If she touches you again, I'm fucking her up." And I've never heard my wife talk like that. I've never heard my wife talk like that. Yeah. And I was like, at first I was like, she touched me? Like, you know what I mean? Like, because you're just like,
a turn on. When my wife get jealous, I just turn on.
yeah. Turn off or turn on?
Turn on.
Dude, I'm not lying to you. When Bruna goes, "I'll fuck her up," I was like, yeah, you will. Yeah, you fucking will. Come touch me again.
Yeah. I was like, okay. And that's actually a good sign of love, because if your woman doesn't care,
They treasure you.
yeah, like, if she don't care about you enough, to be jealous if some woman is after you.
Dude, I don't get open relationships
Nah, me
because
neither.
I don't want to yuck someone's yum. All right, different strokes for different folks. Whatever works for them. But like when people tell me like, oh, it's usually a younger crowd too, and they're like, oh, we're open. I'm like, you don't love each other, and they're like, no, it's not about that. I want my wife. No, because I don't give a fuck what anybody says. There is not a person on this planet that's gonna be piping my wife. That's not happening.
Yeah,
I will die before that happens. Why? Because of two reasons. Number one, I cherish and value her. And two, I'm no one's cuck.
No.
You know what I mean? It's like it definitely a two-pronged thing. Like it's a little
And
bit of
here's the
ego.
thing, I don't kink shame, but it ain't me. That's all I'm saying. Like I know some. I know some. No, I think that's a kink. Open. That's kink to me. Different strokes for different.
I've never
folks.
seen a successful one. If let me put it to you this way. Without failure, everyone I've ever seen go open ends up breaking up because someone somewhere either falls in love or the jealousy kicks in or something. And I'm just like, dude, don't open doors if you don't want strangers coming in.
Yeah, and like you said, I don't. It's hard for me to say you truly love someone if you can handle watching them be intimate with somebody else. That's just me, But again, I don't kink shame, and maybe. I don't think like you. It's the same thing as somebody being a homosexual. To me, like I don't find men attractive. There's nothing about a man that turns me on.
Not even a little bit.
Not even a little bit. Nothing. Not at all.
His name Pretty Boy.
But my thing is, but
he's got cameras all up in his house.
There are
men don't turns me on.
Yeah, whatever. But there are men who are attracted to men, and they.
You've never seen a man and go, "That's a handsome man."
Yeah.
That's gay.
I'm like, man, that's a good looking guy right there, man. But nah, bro, like I'm securing my masculinity. But nah, man, it's like I said, I don't understand how a man can be gay, but there are gay men and they feel the way they feel.
Yeah.
There are gay men who will look at a straight man and be like, man, I don't understand how he likes women.
No. I actually could not disagree more. I think homosexuality has nothing to do with this because I can get that. The same way inherent to me, I have I love the feminine frame. I think women are so beautiful. You know what I mean? I get that there's gay guys that look at other guys and they're like, that's a handsome man. I want to do this, that, or the other. I get that. Like God just made you differently. Yeah. What I'm saying is I don't think, and like I said, I'm not trying to yuck someone's yum. Different strokes for different folks. Anecdotally, every single couple I've ever seen go open ends up breaking up. It is the precursor to a breakup. Because that's my thing is I think sex is the most intimate thing you can have with your partner outside of children, right? Like children is definitely the legacy. And I cherish my daughter way more than I ever cherished my intimacy with my wife. But it's through the intimacy with my wife that we had our daughter, right? So it's like what came first, the chicken or the egg. But what I'm trying to say is that intimacy I only have with one woman. And that's a part of the cherished value of that is the scarcity. I only have this with you. You are my only gate to that. If I start opening that door for everybody else, you're going to start to dilute that cherishness, that value in that individual. And more importantly, and I do believe this, it's that want, that desire stems from an inadequacy in the relationship. I don't want to have sex with other women. I genuinely don't. I don't care. I don't care how hot they are, EJ. I don't give a fuck what, because the only thing I think to myself is I'd have to put up with this. I got to put up with that. There's only one woman that I'm putting up with that shit for, and that's my wife. I tell my wife
that all the time. I'm just like, you know what? When there are times when we're finished with activities, and I'm like, man, I remember having to have that awkward conversation of why I need to leave or why they need to leave, or
We
man,
just don't gotta have that now.
or man, I really don't like this person, and I don't want to have to text them back, but I'm gonna be a jerk if I don't. I'm so glad I'm done with that phase of my life.
Well, it's also, okay, let me ask you this question, if you don't mind me asking, because I do think that there's a masculinity crisis in two-pronged. I think that men don't know how to be men today, and the very virtue of manhood has changed. So let me do this first one. When I was younger, one of the greatest lies ever told to me, and I will say this openly, is that acquiring sexual partners was somehow this gatekeeper to being a man. Men get pussy. Oh, you don't get girls on this other stuff. I'm telling you right now, I have regrets from my sexual promiscuity. in my youth. And whenever I talk to younger men now, I tell them universally the same thing. There are women that I was with that I regret, where I think to myself now, like, oh my God, I cannot believe I gave you access to that. And it was under the pretense that, like, Ariane's the man. Look, he's sleeping with girls, all this other stuff. I think that what makes a man is responsibility and discipline. The amount of responsibility that you put on your shoulders and the discipline in which you act on that responsibility. And if someone would have told me that instead of get money and bitches, I would have been a better man earlier.
Yeah.
I learned this, but it took me some trials and tribulations.
I totally agree. I mean, I'm not afraid to say this. You know, I lost my V card at 13. And
What was his name?
yeah, okay. But I remember in my group of friends, I was the last one.
Wow.
You know, and like, and this
And
is
you
like,
were 13.
and, I was, and like, this is a group of 6 guys, and I'm not proud of that. But the community I was raised in, like, we were starting early with a lot of adult stuff. You know,
You guys are
and-
still children.
Yeah, like the first person in our friend group, 5th grade. You know, and then by 6th grade, most of my group, you know, we're all hitting puberty, starting to look at girls differently and stuff like that.
That's
Everybody,
wild.
yeah. And I was a church boy growing up, so I really wasn't trying to do stuff like that. And then, you know, I had a girlfriend, so 7th grade, she's like, "Hey, everybody's making fun of us because we're both, you know,
Still virgins.
Yeah, we need to go. This is 7th grade, dude. I'm 13.
And that peer pressure was overwhelming.
Yeah. So went ahead, did that, got it out the way. And what I regret about losing my virginity was through middle school and high school, I started trying to make time for sexual activity instead of always focusing on school, training, my sports, you know,
Stay in discipline.
basically staying disciplined. And I thought about that. I was like, man, especially when I was in college. When I got to college and I was,
Yeah, preach.
national champion junior college, went to Mizzou.
Not just that, it's a different town where nobody knows you and everybody's got a clean slate.
Yeah. But
easy
I
to
just
start
remember
over.
how, like, the pursuit of that was a distraction. Like, the fact.
Well, can I add a paradigm to that? I think it's a man's prerogative and actually our natural structure to pursue women.
Mm-hmm.
The difference was previous generations used to pursue them, to court them,
court them.
to marry them, to have children with them and create a family. Now it's completely different. And whenever I hear men, because I do believe that 100% of the blame for societal norms, like we were talking about OnlyFans, is with men. Because who's buying the OnlyFans? When you talk about a girl has a high body count, well, who gave her that body count? Like, at the end of the day, gentlemen, women don't have the physical aptitude to force us into any physical act we don't
They
want.
don't.
We choose that. So every single problem you have with women, we have created.
Yeah.
Because all it takes is a man to be a little bit more responsible and a little bit more disciplined and be like, get out of here, hoe. I ain't interested in that shit.
I mean, trust me, I would love if they got rid of OnlyFans. You know, as a man raising a daughter, I would really hope.
no,
it
I
still
actually
within-
love that it exists. I'll explain why.
Okay.
Because now women are starting to realize that. How many times have you heard like women complaining about like how there's not enough men out there, or how like, you know, I'm a this boss bitch or whatever, and I need someone on my level. Well, you know, unfortunately, what we're seeing in real time is that when presented with the option for men to have sexual activity, either through act of money or virtual, they are opting out of dating. And I think what women need to start like really,
Which is a problem, though.
well, it is and it isn't. It is and it isn't. America,
I'm looking at
America
the
has a
overall,
unique
like-
variable, and that's that we can always have more immigrants.
Okay, so what I mean is a problem is I feel like from youth to adulthood, we're missing out on a lot of human interaction, and dating is one of them.
Do you feel like you are, or do you feel like other people are?
Other people are, not me. Other
Okay.
people, like I think my generation is good. I think this younger generation.
I would agree. I would agree.
Like nobody's going on dates.
You know that it's
no-
actually affecting a lot of these social businesses
Yeah.
very heavily.
Nobody's going to the bars,
There's
the
like
clubs.
all-time low bar patronage, social activities. They blame it on COVID. They said that ever since COVID, it's never been the same. But I think it's two-pronged. I do believe that COVID hurt it, and that It was going to take some time to get back. But I also believe that it's like now you have an entire generation of 16 to 18-year-olds that did virtual everything. And now they're just like, what do you mean? I can watch porn. I can Uber Eats my dinner and I don't have to go outside of my house.
It's the quick fix with, like you said, watching porn.
Video games, food, everything can be delivered to me.
Yeah, you can just stay at home.
Yeah.
You ain't got to deal with the headache. You don't have to deal with rejection, which a lot of people are afraid of dealing with. You know, and
I don't agree with that one actually.
you don't think so?
How many times did girls tell you no? I had lost count. I don't care. You want to know why? What was I counting? The wins.
Yeah.
I am, whatever my number of wins are, I couldn't tell you how many losses I had because I only focus on the wins. I don't give a shit. You know what I mean? And there's some like sort of like socioeconomic standard to that. Like I think Jordan Peterson talked about how, you know, the type of men that get
But
the
I
most.
also think you're like me. We're a different generation of guys. I think guys that came up like us, we were used to social interaction and being okay with not getting what we wanted. I think a lot of these guys these days have been coddled. You know, like they didn't fight on the playground. Like, okay, so I'm a teacher, you know, and there are some times where I'm in like a meeting with parents about kids, and I'm thinking, because I teach BD, so I have like the behavioral kids in my class.
BD?
Yeah, behavioral disorder.
Oh, behavioral disorder. Forgive me.
So, or ED, emotional disorder. So, I'll be thinking to myself, and actually, I'll say this happened a few years ago, so I don't get in trouble with anything recently. But
Allegedly, someone allegedly came up to me and allegedly said.
Yeah. So years ago, I was in a meeting. Like years ago, I was in a meeting with parents, and I was thinking about the problem with their son. You know, the way he behaves, and he was very disrespectful and a smart ass.
To you or to everybody?
Not necessarily to me, really, but to like the other kids in the class. And I was like, in my head, because I couldn't say this in a meeting, his problem is he doesn't go outside and play with his friends. He doesn't go to the park. He's never had to reap the consequences
Of his actions.
or his words. So he says slick stuff to people. A kid is struggling with reading. He's like, duh. In our day, one,
got slapped
that
for
kid
that.
would have got up and probably ran across the room and stole on you. You know, and you know that I'm gonna get up, and my teacher's assistant's gonna get up and stop the kid if he does.
But you're going to walk your way over there.
But also, guess what? If nothing happens in class, everybody's going to the park after school. And guess who's going to be there? Mr.
Yeah.
And he's going to catch you and
You're absolutely right.
And I'm just like, these kids today, they don't have social interaction, which teaches them valuable lessons on how to navigate the world because talk shit, get hit.
Well, I will say that for men and women, it's different, right? So I would say that for women, because they are more social predation, like women tend to start rumors and talk behind, like they combat
They
one
do
another
character
socially.
slander, character
Yes.
slander,
Like, oh, Jenny is a whore. Like, Jenny didn't do anything, but you're just starting the rumor because you don't like Jenny, right? Whereas,
Tisha got herpes.
Yeah. But men are very much more the confrontational ones, either physical or verbal. And I do agree with you that the running joke is like we need to bring bullying back. I think that's not necessarily what they're saying. What they are kind of trying to say is like it used to be a time where like if you talked shit, you did get hit, and it created an environment where if you did talk shit, either it was justified or you were ready to face the repercussions and you were man enough to kind of be like, I'm going to stand on this hill and die on it. No, fuck you.
Dude, like the threat of violence.
But you're absolutely correct. I coach wrestlers, and I'm telling you right now, the amount of shit some of these kids talk, and like the one that talks the most shit is like the worst wrestler.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, bro, like where do you get this ego? Like in my day, you would legitimately, dude. I'll give you an example. I will. Afton class, I was 2011, right? It was my freshman year. Our freshman class, the very first day of wrestling, they would actively try to weed us out. So like we would stretch and everything like that, and then they would partner us. We didn't do anything. We'd do live wrestling. First thing, live wrestling. And they partnered me up. I was like a 119 pounder with Clay Powers. He was a 205er. And Clay beat my ass. I mean, just dogged me. You know what I mean? I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I remember thinking like, what the fuck is this sport? But you want to know what I saw? I saw other kids like fucking crying and shit. And I had an older brother growing up. So like I would always get dogged and like, you know what I mean? Like Andy would just mess with me. You know what I mean? So like when this happened to me, I was like, just another day in the woods. And then like that day 2, half of us came back and all of us were like in the group. It was kind of like that hazing thing of like, get worked, kid. And if you come back, we know at least you got a little bit of backbone. The truth of the matter is, I hate to say it this way, but I do think that that's very instrumental in young men. Like, before you're ever the hammer, you do need some ringers as the nail, so that when you do have that hammer in your hand, you're not fucking hitting every nail you see, because you know how much that sucks. You have a little bit of that discipline, that reprieve of like, I remember when I got dog walked, that shit kind of sucked. You know what I mean? So maybe I'm going to go a little bit easy on this kid. Or I had a big mouth and I got slapped, so maybe this kid doesn't know what he's talking about. Let me try to like mentor him a little bit. I think that you're absolutely correct, that this generation is missing that because they've never been held accountable, because they never get pushed into uncomfortable circumstances, or at the very least, the ones that do, because the majority now don't, those guys thrive because they're in an environment where they're young men amongst all these little boys. Yeah. And it goes back to the thing we were talking about, like dating and everything like that, where women say that there's not enough men out there. Well, yeah, we're not doing anything to produce them. And then all of you are having sex with the same 10 guys.
Same 10 dudes.
And then you're wondering why none of them want to settle down, because they have the cream of the crop. I mean, they can do whatever the fuck they want. But those men should have more discipline. Those men should have more discipline.
Easier said than done.
Agreed. And it's easy for me to say at 32, because if you would have told me at 22, I'd have been like, what are you talking about? But I do believe this in my heart of hearts, that I wish someone would have came down to me and told me, having sex doesn't make you a man. No. Getting good grades, making money, living not even a virtuous life, but a life of like, what are you doing unto others? What value do you have to your community, to your fellow man? Yeah. Are you someone of moral character where other men look up to? These are what make a man.
Well, that's definitely how I live my life. I always tell people I wasn't perfect growing up. I've got skeletons in my closet, but what I do as an educator, a mentor, and a wrestling coach is my way of giving back, and saying, hey, this is what I'm doing to make the world a better place. God gave me talent. He supplied me with things, and I'm like, this is how I'm, using those blessings that he gave me.
Was that the precursor to coach wrestling, or did you always want to coach wrestling because you were a wrestler?
Basically, yeah. I always wanted to coach wrestling because I was a wrestler. Like, I always knew I was going to go to college, be a teacher, come back, be a wrestling coach. I obviously never thought I was going to get in MMA.
Yeah, so MMA was actually the curveball, but everything else was the plan.
Actually, I'll tell you a funny curveball about how I got into MMA. My senior year, my teammates were telling me that somebody...
Senior year of Mizzou.
Mizzou. My teammates were telling me, they was like, hey, somebody is training MMA now with Tyron Woodley, because Tyron Woodley was one of our coaches, all right? And he was training MMA. He had just signed a strike force. And he was actually getting ready to fight one of my buddies, Sal Woods, from high school. So super small world kind of thing. So anyway, my teammates were like, hey, the season's over. Like, my career's done, all right? One of my buddies was like, your rival says that he's going to fight you after graduation, so he's been training MMA. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, he said he started training MMA because he finally wants to fight you. And I was like...
Michelle Chancellor?
I ain't saying nobody's name. So I was like, okay, bro. So then I called Tyron. I was like, when you training next? I want to come in and make sure I'm right. And I ain't tell him why. And he was just like, oh, I'm going down to St. Louis to train with my coach, Mike Rogers. You should come down and check it out. He's like, you probably should get in MMA. I was like, nah, I ain't trying to get in MMA. I just want to make sure I'm in shape and my hands is right.
Yeah.
For after graduation. And he just thought it was stupid. He didn't know why I was saying this. So he told me, he made a good point. He said, this is Tyron Woodley. He was like, your friends on the football team, basketball team, and baseball team here at Mizzou all just got drafted to their leagues. You're 23. You finna go behind the desk, teach, and coach wrestling at 23. You've been an athlete your whole life. You should probably look at MMA. So I said...
There was wisdom in that.
Yeah, it was. So it was a blessing that he did that. So came down, trained. First day I trained with Brian Guidry, did some jiu-jitsu. Next day went to MMA class with Mike Rogers. Fell in love with it that day. Made the commitment that after graduation I was going to drive down. I was going to move back down to St. Louis to start training.
Can I ask you a question?
What's that?
What is your relationship with Tyron today? Is it like still like friendly?
Yeah. We
because you guys are both Mizzou alums. You guys both wrestled.
Yeah, I pretty much went to Mizzou.
I'm sure you guys have like a Venn diagram of friends where you share a lot of friends.
Yeah. I think I went to Mizzou mainly because of Tyron. I looked up to Tyron when I was in high school. I started wrestling in high school as a freshman, And I remember my coach who wrestled at Mizzou as well, my high school coach wrestled at Mizzou, Tyron was the first person, like, he told me to start watching. You know, athletic black guy, talented. He's like, this guy right here, he's something special. Met him at a wrestling camp, and I was a fanboy. So then when it came time for me to, you know, transfer to a bigger school after I won junior college, you know, obviously they had Tyron call me, you know, and I was like, I'm there. And
Did you always want to wrestle at Mizzou because he did, or did you just kind of choose Mizzou because it
I chose Mizzou. I'd always liked Mizzou. It was like my top two schools was Illinois and Mizzou growing up. Like I lived
Because you grew up in Illinois.
Yeah, I grew up in
That's why I
Illinois, but I'm
asked.
right here in Missouri.
For those that don't understand,
yeah.
the reason I say that is because you didn't grow up in Missouri.
So my high school coach wrestled at Mizzou. The guy that I looked up to, Tyron, wrestled at Mizzou. My mom was a big Mizzou fan. She actually had a scholarship to go to Mizzou academically and turned it down because she said, excuse me, that she didn't want to leave me. So my mom had me in middle school. She was 14 when she had me.
God bless.
Yeah, so she was pretty hard on me when I
Oh,
was
yeah,
young.
dude, you're the one that changed her life.
Yeah, so
What's
Well,
your
yeah.
relationship like with your mother, if you don't mind me asking? Close?
used to be, not now.
Really?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Is that something you want to talk about or no?
No, not really. You know, one, because there's a lot. You know, basically, I mean, I'll touch on it a little bit. My parents split when my mom got pregnant with me. They met in a foster home together. They kind of had a falling out when my mom got
Decided
pregnant.
to keep you?
Yeah, honestly, that was the truth. My dad admits that, you know, he told her to abort. Luckily, she said no. They
God bless.
moved her to another home, and my mom basically kept me away from my dad till I was 17. So I guess I'm gonna end up telling you pretty much the gist of why we're not speaking. So my mom told me my whole life that I couldn't see my dad because of his bad lifestyle. He was heavily gang affiliated, wild boy out there. She always told me positive stories about him, but you know, she was like, "Hey, we're in the church, we're doing this. I'm trying to raise you to be a good man. I don't want him to influence you to be something else." And then a few years ago, so anyway, I meet my dad at 17. Me and my dad have had a great relationship for the last basically 20 years. Okay. And my mom tells me that she's starting to have like flashbacks from over 30 something years ago of their relationship, and she can't stand my dad now. And I'm like, you guys have been coexisting in my life now for like 20 years. Like, okay, you don't have to see my dad. One, you got a husband. Okay. Well, he can't be at your daughter's birthday parties. I'm like, what? I'm like,
That sounds like something you can't say.
it was
Sorry, Mom.
yeah, right. It was crazy.
That's my
So,
daughter, not yours.
She was like, hey, well, I feel this way about your dad. I can't stand him. I don't want to see him. I should come first. And I'm like, one, when it comes to you and him, you do come first. But like, I respect this man. I love this man. So then what really got us to part was when she admitted to me that she didn't keep my dad from me because he would have been a bad influence. She said she kept him away from me to hurt him because he hurt her when he asked her to have an abortion. So I said, you had me grow up without a father to prove a point, to hurt him?
May I introduce a variable?
What's that, dude?
She was young, man.
No, I get it, yeah.
You know, imagine she got pregnant at 14 and
But here's the thing.
give her a little grace, you know?
You know, my dad found us, you know, I'm going down this rabbit hole. So, like, throughout my life, we would up and move. Like, if my friends told me they were moving, they would move like a few months later, a year later, blah, blah. I would come home from school, my mom would be like, hey, we moving tomorrow. I'm like, what?
Get all your shit.
We out. Find out after I meet my dad at 17, he starts telling me stories. He was like, I found you guys 3 times. I said, what? He said, yeah, man, I would look y'all up, this and that, whoop to whoop. And I'd call your mama, you know, because we had phone books back then. And he was like, hey, you know, I want to see my son.
Back in the day of landlines.
Yeah. And my mom would tell the state, because we was on Section 8 and stuff like that, and they would immediately move us. And my mom was like, yeah, I did that. Like, whenever he found us, I would call the state, let them know, like, hey, you know, I don't want this man, this. Like, okay, boom, house, and we'd move. And I'm just sitting here like, I remember having sporting events that my mama couldn't go to because she had to work or watch my siblings, you know, and I have no support there. Or I can't play football this year because you don't have the money. You know, I didn't have that option of having a father who could have helped or also been there because you wanted to hurt him. And in my opinion, you hurt me. You know, so anyway, so we're not speaking because a combination of I am upset about her doing that to me and basically her telling me I had to pick between him and her. And I'm like, I'm not doing that to my grandkids. Because it ain't even about me at this time. I mean, not my grandkids, your grandkids. Like, you're telling me my daughter doesn't get to know her grandpa on my side. Like, that's crazy.
Well, that is not a decision that she can make. She made all the decisions that she did for you.
Yep.
And that is to the extent that she has authority. Past that, now it's you who has that authority. And I want to be very careful because I obviously don't understand the variables in this. The only two things I will say is I think that someone can be both right and wrong at the same time. And I think that simultaneously she made the most important decision, and that's have you, so that you do have the luxury of being angry at her. You know
Yeah,
what I
and
mean?
I'm not even angry. Like, my thing is, because I was disappointed,
Yeah.
you know. Because in my community, I see that a lot.
Fatherless homes.
Fatherless homes and women using
Vengeful women.
children to hurt fathers. You know, whether it's...
Which is a form of... I don't know if I want to say the word abuse or neglect or what have you, but you are using the child as a catalyst to harm an individual emotionally.
Yeah.
But in that act, you're also robbing the child of a father, a parental figure, a male role model.
And it was super selfish. Like, so she don't even know I know this because my dad told me every. Like,
You never had the conversation with her?
Well, I have. Okay, we have because she told me all this during the therapy session, like with her therapist or whatever. But she doesn't know the truth about certain things that I know from my dad. So I was allowed to speak to him one time for like a month. Okay.
Before 17.
Before 17. I was in
Okay.
4th grade. He called my school, man. It was so crazy, dude. I was so happy this day. He called my school.
Forgive me. Can I also add one caveat? Not when she turned 17. When you
I
turned 17.
yeah.
That's
Yeah,
the.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
not like 3 years. She did that to you for 17
Yeah.
years. Okay. Just for the.
Yeah. So I was at school and I got called down to the office, and they was like, "Your dad's on the phone." Now at that time, I thought it was my godfather, because my little brother's dad kind of took a fatherly role with me, you know, kind of part time, but you know, not enough for me to be like, "Yo, this is really, really my dad," you know. So I'm thinking it's him. I get on the phone. He's like, "Hey, how you doing? You know, I'm da 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 da," and I'm just like, "You're not my dad." He was like, "Yes, I am." He's like, "I'm your real daddy," and he says his name, and then he tells me take his number down, and tell your mother
Call me.
you talked to King Sergio. Now that was his gang name, King Sergio. So I was like, all right. And I got home, and my mother, and we had this social worker that had to be at our house because we had an active DCFS case.
Forgive me. What is DCFS?
Department of Children and Family Services.
Oh, forgive me.
Yeah, you all
I'm
good.
sorry.
So this lady had to be with my mom, make sure that she was being a good mom and stuff like that, because one night my mom left us with our grandma. She got drunk. Yeah.
State
out
now feels that they have to get involved.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, we're bringing groceries into the house. Like, I'm just getting off school. I'm grabbing stuff. My mom had 2 grocery bags. So you double bag the milk, the gallons. So she had gallon of milk, and I'm bringing the food in. And I said, "Mama, some dude called the school today and said he my daddy." And she just like, "Yeah, okay." I was like, "Yeah, he said his name, King Sergio." She dropped both bags of milk and screamed. But it was like a happy scream, like a funny laughing scream. And milk busted all over the floor. And all I could think was,
That's weird.
oh man, like I talked to my dad. Like I'm 10
Oh,
years
that
old.
was him.
That was him. I was like, yeah, like, dang, I really talked to my dad. Like, wow. And she was like, oh my God. Like, oh. And then she snatched a number from me. And anyway, we cleaned it all up. And then later at night, she was like, you can call him. But we put it on speakerphone. It was like, I had to push the button. So I was able to talk to him for about a month. And I get into a fight at school. And I didn't fight a lot at that time. I get into a fight at school for a stupid reason, whatever it was.
Your fourth grade, brother.
Yeah, fourth grade. Yeah, I don't even remember what it was about.
Stupid shit.
And I come home, and my mama tells me, you're no longer allowed to talk to your dad.
Oh no. She immediately associated
Bro.
that with your father.
We moved a week later
Jesus.
to the other side of town. Because we was living in Kobe. We moved a week later to the other side of town. Changed our number too. And she was like, I knew you talking to your dad was going to encourage you to be bad. Because I was on honor roll. I was doing well. And she thinks this fight that I got into was because I was talking to him. That's what she told me. She told me it was because I got into a fight and my dad was a negative influence, which she was always trying to protect me from. We go through all this. My dad has a heart-to-heart. He was like, nah, son, your mom's not talking to you because we were thinking about getting back together and she wanted me to marry her. And son, at the time, I was still in my player mode. He was like in his young 20s. And he was traveling with 2 Live Crew. Do you know who Luke is?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
Well, I mean, I know of them. I don't know them. Sorry.
And he was like, yeah, man, I'm on the road with this rap group. I'm doing this. As much as I loved your mama, like, I wasn't
Not
trying to
ready
be
to
with her.
commit right now.
He was like, all I wanted to do was be in your life. You know, he was sending me money, too. He was mailing money back. So again, I find out, I'm like, again, I can't have my dad because you're not getting what you want from him. That's not fair to me. Yeah. So
Have you been able to correspond the stories with your mother? Like, have you talked to her? Have you heard her side of this? The only reason
to
I'm
be
bringing it
honest,
up
if she watches this video, she'll be like, "What? No." And I'm gonna tell you why. Because I know my mama. My mama has a hard time dealing with accountability.
I feel like that's a feminine trait. I'm
Dude,
not gonna lie.
hey,
I talk to
I ain't
any
going there,
woman.
yeah.
Sorry, ladies.
And it's just one of those things.
My wife too. Just saying.
And honestly, I can count on one hand how many times my mom said sorry to me.
Or that it was like that was my fault.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, she made my favorite thing for dinner. She gave me a couple bucks. It's
Apologies
like,
in a different way.
I get. I
Yeah.
could. You sorry, you know. And
PB&J comes in with the crust off. You're like, what did I do?
yeah, so it's just one of those things. I'm just like, I'm afraid me calling her out is going to add to her trauma. I feel like she's already going because she's, you know, she's already seeking therapy for other stuff, and I'm just like, if I really broadcast her what more wrong she's done, I'm going to hurt her even more. And I'm just like, EJ, you good? You know, like,
Yeah, that's such a grown-up mentality, dude. I'm currently
and
having.
it took me a while to get there. That grown-up mentality.
I'm currently having an argument with my father because I'm realizing that I didn't know this at the time, but there's like a lot of pent up aggression, not resentment, but anger and frustration I have with my father because he was always financially illiterate. Ever since I was a little kid, just did dumb shit with money. And, you know, when my mom died, me and my brother kind of took over his finances. And even still to this day, he does dumb shit with money. And it got to me, like, he's 64 years old. And, like, I should know this is him. There's no changing him. But then I look at my brother and myself, and, like, we both have finance degrees. And we're just like, dude, you're our dad. How is it that we are so different from you when it comes to this one aspect of life? And how is it that you are 64 years old and you still haven't learned, like, it's just some of the, like, in my opinion, like basic financial literacy is like a precursor to adulthood. You know what I mean? So you're 64 years old and you don't have this like basic fundamental knowledge that like you got lucky because mom handled shit when she was alive and that you were lucky that you had 2 sons that were at least somewhat successful to handle your shit. Like we are his retirement. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think to myself like, dude, you got lucky, Dad. And there was some shit that he did where, I've never once told my dad, like, because I'm not a sensitive guy. Like, I never once told my dad, like, that hurt my feelings or really. But I was on the phone with him, and, like, I'm not really proud of this, but I did tell him, I was like, you're a fucking idiot. You've always been a fucking idiot. And this is the final straw. You hurt me with this one. Like, you hurt me with this one. Don't fucking talk to me until I'm ready to talk to you. And it's been, like, 2 months. and I'm still not ready to talk to him. And he comes over. Like, here's the thing though, he has a granddaughter. I have my daughter. He could come over to the house. Like, I'll make you a coffee. I'm hospitable. I want you to have a relationship with your granddaughter. To your point with your mother, like, I'm not going to let my frustration with you inhibit my daughter.
Right.
She has grandfathers, and I want her to know that I didn't have grandfathers when I was growing up. Both of my grandfathers on my mom's side and my dad's side were both dead. So like I never had a granddad ever. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So like I don't want to rob that from my daughter. That being said, now it's like I'm 32 years old. I am your son, yes, but I'm a grown ass man. The nature of our relationship has to be mutually respectful. Because if it's not, then I will choose not to respect you. You did a great job. You created a formidable, intelligent, strong young man. And now you have to reap that. Because now I'm going to hold you accountable the way you've been holding me accountable.
Yeah. And you know, to that point, same. We've been like at family gatherings, and I've let her interact with my kids.
How long ago was this the altercation? Not an altercation, but like how long ago was the catalyst for how you feel now? Like
2 years ago.
2 years ago. Okay,
Yeah.
so this has been.
Yeah, it's been, and
I'm 2 months, right?
I'm standing on a hill. Like I will not
bend on this one.
Choose anyone. Like because my dad didn't ask me to choose. You know, so it's like, hey.
What did your father say about all of this when you brought it to him?
He was upset because she was lying about a lot of stuff. And what she don't remember is I grew up with you. You had me at 14. We were in the foster home together. Okay? Like you didn't move out till you were 19. We were in the foster home together. I watched you grow up. When I was 14, you were 28.
Yeah.
Okay? Like I've watched you grow up, you know. I was telling my wife the other day, I remember, because I would have been like 4.5, going to my mom's high school, East St. Louis High School, and having to sit at a desk in the corner of the front of the classroom while she took her finals, her senior year.
Of high school.
Of high school. And I was just like, I've grown up with you, so everything you've experienced, I was there, Mom. You know, I remember what you said. I remember how you explained stories. And when I met my dad and cross-referenced stories that you told, they all matched up. You told me this, and this was the relationship with you and my dad. This is what happened. The good, the bad. I meet Dad. Dad tells me, this is what happened. The good, the bad. They match up. 20 years later, no, this actually happened. Or this and this and that. And I'm like, you don't get to change it up to make him look like more of the villain. He owned it up. My dad always said the only regret he had was telling her to get an abortion because he knew it hurt her, you know. And that's what you always told me, that the only thing he ever did was tell you to get an abortion, you know, and how it hurt you. Now you tell him he did other stuff. Now you tell him it was this, it was that. And I'm just like, nah, like, no.
It's such a, you know, the tough part too is, you know, it's not binary. I don't believe in instances like this that there is a conclusive right and wrong. I just think that there's emotions and history and there's good merits on, you know, because like I'm sure if your mom was sitting here, she would have some things that I would constitute as like, well, you got a point, you know what I mean? But then I'm sure if I sat your father here, he would say some things like, you got a point. And that's the tough part about this is like no one is 100% right or wrong, and that's the thing with my father. Like I love him. He's my dad. You know what I mean? And you fall short sometimes.
What it is like, and I'm sure it's with your dad, same with my mom. When you're a kid, you don't believe your parents can do wrong.
It's not that, EJ.
Well, with me, that's what it was. It was like, I always, because like I said, we were in a church.
Yeah,
I always saw my mom as this, you know, gospel listening to, Bible reading, you know, like.
She was a paragon of you.
A lot of my friends' moms were very promiscuous, had a lot of men coming in and out the house. That wasn't my mother.
So you were like, oh, I lucked out.
But what I'm saying is like, what she showed me was not what I found out later on. Like, oh, well, you know, like basically, okay, I told you, grandma's watching us, gets drunk, what's that? And in my head, I'm like, I used to think that she was watching us because my mom was working a night shift somewhere. No, she was going out on a date.
Yeah.
She was going to the club. You know, she was living her life. But I didn't think she did things like that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like
but that's not necessarily a bad thing.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
You
But
just-
in my,
you didn't think that.
Well, actually, it was because
think it was a bad thing?
because you knew my grandma was mentally ill and she was an alcoholic,
Okay.
and you left your kids with her.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like my grandma, my mom's mom, used to get drunk and drag me and my brother out to bed and beat us. And I would tell my mom this, and nothing would ever happen. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I don't think I had trauma from that, but it's like I don't trust anybody around my kids. And you know, and I told so in her
I
therapy
actually
session,
think I hate to say it this way. I think that's a good status quo.
yeah,
I don't trust anybody with my granddaughter.
No,
Or
no.
sorry, my granddaughter.
You
Sorry.
don't, yeah.
I don't trust anybody with
Yeah.
my daughter. Like outside
even
of my
family,
wife.
like especially family, yeah,
I trust my mother-in-law. I trust my mother-in-law.
I do. Let me say,
And 100% only my wife and my mother-in-law. Not even my father. Not because I think they're going to do something bad. I just think they're dumb. Like I just think they're just going to do dumb shit.
I got you.
Like my father-in-law as well. I just don't think like older men. It's also the Balkan, Eastern European. Like they never had to rear children. Like when I was little, my dad would work, come home at 7. I would see him for dinner and like we would go to bed. You know, like my mom was the one who like raised us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like now I look at my dad. My dad said something like, because my daughter's potty training now and she's doing a great job. And my dad's like, oh man, in like a year I can take her on trips. I'm like, fuck you are.
right.
You're out of your mind. Are you kidding me? I don't trust my 3.5-year-old with you. No, we can go to trips together. You're not taking my daughter. Like, and my dad was like hurt by that. He's like, what do you mean? I raised you. I go, no, you didn't. You didn't raise me. You provided for me. And even that is
I get that.
questionable. So don't go down memory lane, homie, because you're not going to like my vision. It's 2020.
Yeah.
To your point, when you say like, Mom, I was there, I think sometimes, and this is something I have to remember as a parent, this is my daughter. Like, this is all she knows. So everything she's seeing now, maybe not now because she's only, she's turning 3, but like here in the next year, I'm going to start losing that grace. And like everything I say, everything I do, that shit's going to start sticking to her. So I'm going to have to really start dotting my I's and crossing my T's because this is going to be the shit that she remembers. I'm sure some of the biggest lessons you've learned in your life was nothing you were told, but something you saw.
Yeah.
And that's how it was for me. And I need to remind myself that with my daughter.
Yeah, I mean, because I told you, there's a lot of stuff I haven't said to my mom because I'm afraid to trauma dump on her and make her feel bad. Because in her mind, she really believed she was the perfect mom. And in that situation, when I'm in her therapy session with her and her husband and this therapist, she's crapping on my dad. And I'm like, Mama, you weren't perfect. Like, you used to leave us with grandma. You know what I'm saying? So
What
you
did she
can
say when you said that? Like,
right. She was just like, oh, well, I had to have a life, and you don't know what it's like having kids, and the dad's not around. I was like, I get it, but I guess it was worth me getting my ass beat, And I said, Mama, I said, I love you, and I actually regret saying this, but I was like, Mama, what do you think I would do if Malia, my daughter, I came home and she told me you got drunk, dragged her out to bed and beat her? That's all I said. And the room
got quiet.
got quiet. Because I'm like, bro, like, I don't play about mine. I love my wife, bro. Love my wife. I will throw hands. I will do things to people for my wife. I promise you I will go to jail over my kids.
I say the same thing.
The things
Especially with a daughter. I think that there needs to be like because your daughter is your oldest, right?
Yeah.
And I'm telling you the same thing. I think if I had a son, I don't know if for certain they would be the same amount of. I look at my daughter as the purest, greatest thing I've ever done with my life. Mm-hmm. And believe me when I tell you, not only would I do heinous things in her name, I would burn the world for her. I would burn the world for her. I would turn into a different man if I had to.
Yeah.
And that's how I know.
We go to family events and people want to hug her, and
you're just like,
and I'm just like, and I feel bad.
No,
but I'm like,
fuck that. No,
exactly. Because
no.
I'm like,
that's your job.
We have family, everybody got family secrets. And I'm sitting here like, bro, I heard about this cousin and that uncle over there with this and this and this. And I'm like, bro, like one, I say this every once in a while when I'm just talking about past trauma. I was lucky that I wasn't abused by a man. You know.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
In your youth.
Because a lot of people have been, and they just don't
That
want to
you
admit
knew?
that I know.
Okay.
Like you'd be surprised. Like,
Well, when you're bringing in all these guys and you don't know who they are.
yeah,
and
exactly. Like
you're under the influence of whatever.
A bunch of my childhood male friends
Wow.
would tell me like, "Yo, yeah, this happened to me. This happened to me." And
Sexual?
yeah, and I'm just like, man, like I'm lucky because when you little, like you can't really protect yourself.
No.
And
You don't even know. You don't even really know what's going on, dude.
And a lot of them would say it was a family member, it was an uncle, it was a big cousin. And
I'd go to prison.
Yeah, and like I said, I got cousins that have told me things about family members, and I'm just like, that's wild. So I've told a few family members who I've heard these rumors about. Don't touch my daughter.
Do they say something?
No, they know better. They know. They know. I'm like, I will not play with you. But it's just one of those things. It's like, man, I don't trust nobody. My daughter is my world. Like you said, one of your greatest accomplishments.
It's the greatest thing I've ever done in my life, and I already know it.
Yeah.
Everything else I do going forward, outside of having more children, will be inferior to her. Everything else I do.
Yeah. I can't have any more children. I'm snipped.
That's reversible.
You said what?
That's reversible.
Nah, I'm good. I'm good. Two's enough. Two's enough for me.
You're shooting blanks forever now.
Two's enough for me.
Can I present to you a separate argument because you shared a lot with me?
Yeah, I got you.
I'm getting a lot of flack on the way that I parent, specifically because I have a 2.5-year-old, and it's not that I'm aggressive or anything like that. That's not what it is. What it is my daughter is like this beautiful, innocent, loving girl. She gives hugs and she'll kiss you on the cheeks. Like she's just an infectious creature. Like you just can't help but love her. You know what I mean?
Right.
And everyone around her spoils her rotten because of it. And I'm starting to notice these tendencies that I'm not a particular fan of. And I understand that she's 2.5 and soon will turn 3. So she's going to go through the toddler phase. But what I'm getting very upset at is I feel like I am the only force in her life that gives her rejection or any sort of discipline. And I had to have a conversation with my wife of like, hey, you guys cannot all be the good guys, and then I have to be the exclusive bad guy to try to counteract some of this.
Yeah.
And one of the conversations I wanted to have is I wanted to sit down, family members that are around her all the time, and I want to let them know because their response to me is like, she's little, Ariana, she's little. And my response is, you guys have, like, all of them exclusively have never lost a parent. Like, all of their moms and dads are alive. You know what I mean? And I hate to say it this way, but they benefit financially from their parents. I never had that luxury. My mom died when I was young, and my father was never a financial beacon for me. So, like, for me and my brother, we didn't have that luxury. So, like, I wanted to have a conversation with him of, like, you guys all look at me as, like, this bad guy. You guys all look at me as, like, Aaron, don't you know how to have fun and all this other stuff? You have to understand, my one job on this fucking planet is not to be my daughter's friend, and it's not even to, like, be her father. It is to prepare her for the life after me, because I don't know when that's going to start. That could start when she's 5. That could start when she's 50. God bless, God willing.
Yeah,
But
so
I don't know
then.
when that's going to happen. And I have to make sure that no matter everything I do, that is, whether or not I am a good father will be that contingency. Can my daughter exist without me? Or, like, how many friends do you know, like, their parents die and they crumble. They start going to, like, alcohol and drugs and all this other stuff. And I wanted to have the conversation of, like, and it's a blessing because you guys haven't lost your parents. And your parents do provide you with money whenever you need it, or this, that, or the other. I never had that luxury. So perhaps there is a part of me that has that, like, whether you call it trauma or the way I was raised, like, this is my normal, you know what I mean? And maybe I am a little harder, and maybe I am a little bit more stoic, and maybe I don't have as much fun as you guys. But understand that when I decided to have children, I understand what responsibility I was taking on. And it is the greatest responsibility of my life. And I'm telling you, EJ, I'm not going to fuck this up.
I don't think you.
Not for anybody.
I don't believe that.
That is, like, you know what I mean? Yeah. So, like, that was the conversation I've been contemplating because I want to sit them down, because it's getting to the point where, like, I've had to be like, to other grown adults, like, shut the fuck up. I'm not arguing with you. This is what's happening unless you're ready to, like, fight me on this. And I know I'll fucking wreck you.
Yeah.
So I'm telling you what is going to happen. I'm not arguing. I'm not debating. I said what I said. And now it's getting to the point where, like, I think they think, like, I'm an asshole. And I am. Don't get me wrong, I am. But I don't think they understand why I am. I just don't think, and I hope I'm wrong, EJ. I hope it is 50.
It sounds like you kind of parent like I parent. You know, one of my biggest fears as a parent is spoiling my kids and making them ungrateful, because I grew up with nothing, but my kids have two intelligent parents who have solid careers, and my kids will never want for anything. Lord say the same. And it's one of those things where I'm just like, I know what struggle did for me. I know how it shaped me, molded me, made me appreciate things and respect people. And I'm like, how do I teach my kids those lessons, you know, organically, when they're not really going to struggle? You know, we just had a housewarming party last weekend. You know, we're sitting on basically an acre and stuff like that. And my kids, you know, we got everybody there. We barbecue and stuff like that. Both my kids are driving their
little electric cars,
Jeeps, you know, like bigger than his chair, cruising. I'm just sitting back and I'm just like, man, I was able to give this to my kids.
You did it.
Yeah.
You did it.
You know, like my kids they've already got more stuff than I ever had. I think my kids already have more toys than I ever had in my life, which is crazy.
I know my daughter did.
You know, and I'm looking at my daughter and my son and my wife. I'm not gonna say she babies them, but she gives in so much. And I'm always having to be the villain.
Yeah.
No, they can't have.
And you're saying no.
Yeah.
Like, and this is the part that I get into kind of like frustrations with my wife. She thinks I'm saying no to be mean. I'm like, no, I have to say no because you're saying yes too much.
Too much.
You're saying yes
All the
to
time.
everything, and I'm throwing in the no's because someone has to.
Yeah. And I'll tell my wife, because my wife works night shift 3 nights a week. And so most of the time, the kids are doing bedtime with me. And I'll tell my wife, I say, babe, when you're not here, it's like clockwork.
They're in bed by 7:30, 8.
Okay, so they get a snack at 7. Okay, so dinner's about 5 o'clock. They get a snack at 7. By 7:15, we're brushing our teeth. By 7:30, we're in bed. All right, I give them a Propel bottle for water if they get thirsty. They got the little juice squeezers in for night. When she's at home, it's a fight. I don't want to go to bed. I'm just like, babe, they know they can give you pushback and resistance because you always
give.
Give.
You give.
I'm like, you got to stop.
Kids are smart.
Yeah, and I know they are. And my kid's super intelligent, you know. And I'm just like, you can't make me be the villain all the time. It's always mommy, 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 because, you know, like if we're having dinner at the table, they want to sit on her lap.
Yeah.
I said, no. We got chairs and booster seats. Sit your butt down. Oh, what, man, he wants to. I'm like, okay.
Dude, my daughter doesn't give me any lip anymore, but gives my wife hell. Like, today, I got back from work and, like, you know, Mom, I want, like, she doesn't tell me I want this, but she doesn't say that to me. So I'm like, excuse me? You know what I mean? But to my wife, Mommy, I want, you know, ice cream or whatever the fucking thing. My wife was like, no, Adriana, like, we're going to have dinner, but I want it. Sure enough, here it goes. You know what I mean? And then with me, it's like, Daddy, can we watch TV? I was like, no, go play with your toy. Like, I like that she has toys. We don't do any sort of like tablet or anything. Not because I don't want her to. When the time comes, I will introduce her to technology and all the benefits therein. I just don't want that dopamine overreaction right now. So I don't care. I get puzzles and I get Legos and I get all. She's got an abundance of toys, and if that is the difference between like a tablet baby and that, fine, I'll spend the money. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Stay away from tablets as long as you can.
Yeah.
We literally only break out tablets for road trips. Like if we're on a long road trip and they in the back, like they got toys back there, and we'll give them a tablet. You know. Then they know, like, we don't. I think it messes with them.
100%.
Yeah, so we try to.
It's a dopamine overload.
Yeah.
Why don't you give your kid coffee? Because it's gonna be a caffeine overload.
Zombies.
It's the same shit. It's like, dude, it's just too much. And then I don't blame the kid for them becoming a tablet baby. Like we have I want to be careful how much I say, but we have some family members that like they're tablet babies, and then like we'll go to dinner or whatever, and they're like rambunctious and they're this that,
Sit down.
and then like they'll be like, you have to sit down. Like, and I'm just like, you guys don't understand that you already fucked up. Like, you already fucked up before dinner, before everything. The last year that you've been giving them this tablet, because what you're doing is outsourcing parenting when they're at home.
Yeah, you're lazy. You're
and now you're at this thing, and, you know, you don't have the tablet, whatever. What do you think they're going to do? They don't know how to sit down and chill
And be a
because they've
parent,
never
yeah.
had to. I don't blame the kid. I don't blame children for anything.
You hitting a
I
touchy
blame
subject
parents.
because I think parents are very lazy. Like we're in a phase right now. My daughter's trying to learn how to read, and she loves to get a book and sit on my lap and try to read the book at 4.5, well, almost 5 years old.
May I present to you a different argument?
What is that?
Because I think I know where you're going with it. I don't think that it's they're lazy. It's that they don't want accountability. I think that our generation is the generation where both people have to work. So I think actually we are less lazy than our predecessors because perhaps, you know, the previous generations had the father that worked and the mom that stayed home or whatever. But now we have two working adults. So like you and your wife are both working.
Yeah.
So like when you're at home, like you're also exhausted. Then you have to get dinner and then you have to do laundry. So I think we have all the same roles and responsibilities that our parents had, but we also have more, or actually a less work-life balance, right? The problem is, I think our generation is the generation of excuses. It's not that we're lazy. It's that when we refuse to acknowledge that we're parenting badly, we'll create excuses. And we'll be like, well, you know, I don't have time. Sorry, you're a parent. Whatever it is that you got going on, that is less important, and you now have to make time. Oh, I'm tired. Sorry, you're a parent. However tired you are, fuck you. You got to get it done.
Right.
Well, I don't have, you know, whatever. It doesn't, like, just acknowledge it. You gave your kid the tablet because you're tired from work and you don't want to interact with them, but acknowledge it. You gave the kid too much TV time because you wanted to scroll on your phone and you want to unwind. That's fine. I'm not knocking you, but don't fucking say that it's like you don't have time, you don't have this. You chose something else instead of that, and that's fine. I'm not saying that you're a bad parent or you're this, but you have to acknowledge that. You have to take accountability for that. That's what I'm saying. How do I know this? I find myself in the same predicament. There are times where I come home and I want to just like doom scroll on Instagram, and my daughter's like, "Daddy, come color with me," and I'm like, "Oh man, I don't want to fucking color." You know what I mean? So that's something I'm cognitively like, okay, I put my foot down. Like, I could easily be like, "No, baby, go, just like do it. You got it." You know what I mean? But that's the same shit. There's no difference. Neglect is neglect.
Yeah.
Regardless of your excuses. Now, I'm not saying I'm perfect. Do I hit it? Do I bat 1,000? No. But I know that when I don't do it, I know what I'm doing and I hold accountability for myself. So I don't think we're lazy. I just think we're full of bullshit. I think our generation is full of bullshit. I get it that you're tired. I get it that you're working. I get it that you're doing all this other stuff. The most important job you have is being a father or a mother correspondingly.
Yeah.
That is. It is. And it's fucking hard. Agreed.
But it's still my favorite.
It's still my favorite.
It's still my favorite.
I choose that job 10 times out of 10.
Yeah.
But forgive me, I didn't want to interrupt you because you were going down the lazy path, and I hear so many people say that, and I think that some people are, but I think the overwhelming majority is just lack of accountability. Yeah. I know, literally every bad parent I know is the first one to point out other bad parenting. Like every parent that I know is a bad parent that I would consider like you neglect your children, you don't do this, you don't do that, you fucking overdo this, you know what I mean? They are the first ones to be like, oh, did you see what she did? Like what you're trying to do is in your subconscious that you're fucking up, but you want to look at someone else fucking up to be like, I'm not that bad. I could be her.
Right. She's
a worse mom than me. It's a race to the bottom. You both suck. You both are bad parents. You're not better than her. You're both shit. That's how I look. Forgive me. But I have no like gray area with parenting because it's the most important job we have. And if we fuck it up, society bears that burden.
Yeah.
And when we're talking about like, you know, the trajectory of our country, societal norms and all this other stuff, I don't blame the 18-year-old for being stupid. I blame every single adult that helped shape that 18-year-old to be stupid.
Because it does take a village. Like
yes.
Who influenced you? Who mentored you?
A teacher, a coach, a father. I mean, I think no one more than the father and mother. But you're absolutely correct, and maybe we'll get to this part of the conversation of coaching wrestling. Forgive me, it took us 2 hours to get to it. Mm-hmm. But I do believe that it does take a village and all that, but I do also believe that if nature and nurture, like if everything around you is bad, but you got that strong home, I take that 10 times out of 10 over everything else. Like I would rather that than a weak home and when your surroundings are shit, but you feel love and safety in your home, you can work with that.
Yeah.
But when everything around you is a constant reminder that home is shit, that I think is worse. if all of your friends got Christmas presents and all of your friends have abundance and you go home and your mom is overbearing or like beats you or your father's not home or you have scarcity, I think that is worse than the alternative, and that is scarcity around you but abundance of love and nurture and safety at home.
Yeah, home has to be the safe place.
It has
That's where
to.
you unwind. I tell my wife all the time, we leave everything at the door.
We're a team.
Yeah, I do it better than she does, but I think her job's a little more strenuous than mine, but I do my best to not bring work home or whatever issues I got going on at home. So, yeah, you're right
That's
about
difficult. That's a mature thing to kind of.
It's hard, and like I
acknowledge.
said, it took me a while to get there. That's why I tell people, like, I wasn't ready to be a father or a husband until my early 30s. I reached a level of maturity where I can start looking at things differently and handling things a different way.
God bless.
Yeah.
If you don't mind, before we put a close to this conversation, I did want to touch on the topic of coaching wrestling and all that, because that is something that we share. Now, I'm just an assistant coach, and you're a head coach.
Yes, sir.
And for those that are assistant and head coaches, understand what I mean by that, because like for me, I get like all the benefits, none of the real like cons, right? Like I get to show up, I coach
You
wrestling.
good cop most of the time.
Yeah, I'm just like, look, I dab the boys up, let's go, you know what I mean? And then I bounce. I don't have to do any of the tournament signing
Scheduling,
up,
all
the
that, yeah.
Misha bullshit. Or actually, you're in Illinois, sorry. So whatever the Illinois Athletic Association
I
is,
just say.
I don't got to do any of that stuff. Like I'm the cool guy. I'm Coach Z, and then I bounce.
Yeah, I've been in your position. And
It's nice.
It's a nice
It's
one.
nice.
Because when things go wrong, everybody thinks you're the savior.
Yes.
It's like, we'd be a better team if Coach Ariane
So-and-so was running the show.
Exactly.
I tell them all the time because Coach Hill is our head coach, and like Coach Ford is the head coach. But I'm telling you right now, everything I'm about to say about EJ, Hill does everything.
Yeah, okay.
Every tournament we go to, every bus that gets scheduled, all the paperwork with the weigh-ins, and Afton tournament doesn't exist without Hill. So I'm the cool coach, I'm the fun coach, but I'm very quick to remind all the kids. I'm like, hey, we wouldn't have any of this without that guy. So like, go dab him up and tell him you're happy.
Yeah.
And by the way, forgive me, Hill wouldn't be there without Ford. So you're absolutely correct. Ford is number one, but Hill is right below him at number two. And then you have a country mile, and then I'm number three with Dan. You know what I mean? So I have an affinity for both those guys because I understand how much the time they put in, and it is insane. But you are the head coach, so you are putting in that time. So that's kind of why I wanted to talk about this because, the kids, when I was a high school wrestler, I had an idea of like how much time the coaches were putting in because like they were at practice and they were at tournaments. But when I left practice, I would go home, play video games, you know what I mean? Fuck off. Like they would be doing all the other stuff. And I didn't realize that until I was a coach myself. So I would like to kind of briefly discuss that. What was the difference for you going from competitor to assistant coach and then from assistant coach to head coach?
I would say going from being a college
wrestler.
wrestler to being a high school wrestling coach, I was lucky that I walked into a great program at that time. I was brought in as an assistant coach for Granite City, and at that time, Granite City was one of the top programs in the country, not just the state. And historically, like Granite City High School, still, even though they haven't been a good program for probably like 8 years, is still leading the nation in dual meet wins.
Oh, wow.
They have the most wins all time of any program in the country. So I got to come in under Hall of Fame coach Al Kurgan, his son George Kurgan, another assistant John Vinny. And I tell people, I didn't just learn how to be a coach. I learned how to run a program. Okay, so like when I came in, I'm freshman coach. I'm low man on a totem pole. I was learning how to teach technique. At that time, I knew how to do a lot of moves, but I didn't know how to really teach them. Like head coach, like, hey, EJ, show this duck under or show this. And I would show it. He was like, okay, you show it.
Break that down.
But you got to learn how to break it down. And the same thing with teaching. It's like, it's a lesson plan. Like I can't just go and say, hey, we're going to learn about this today. I can say, why? I got to do this. I got to do that, step by step. So that was the first part. It's like, hey, learning how to teach technique. Then it was strength and conditioning, learning how to get kids in shape, learning how to put a practice plan together, like the technique, the conditioning, the training, the stretching, post-practice talk, and that was just practice.
Yeah.
Then it was like, okay, freshman schedule. How many freshman duels you gonna have in a week? How many tournaments you gonna go to? You know, like, hey, if you got kids that might end up in on varsity, how much experience do they need before they go up? And like these are things that he was asking me. He's the head coach. He's already got it planned out, but he's making sure that I'm learning what I need to learn. No, this is wrong. This is wrong. So basically, when I got done being an assistant and wanted to go back to my hometown and take over as head coach, I was ready to run the program. There are a lot of people who can coach, but they can't run a program. They don't know how to schedule. They don't really know how to train. They can sit in a chair and tell you the right stuff during a match, but they don't know how to get you ready. They don't know how to get your teammates ready. You know, and I think I've seen some very good coaches run programs into the ground because they didn't know how to do it all.
Yeah.
So the difference between being an assistant and being a head coach is you have to not only run everything, you have to micromanage everything. You have to bring the right people in. I got to bring in Ariane who can wrestle with the 126s on down to 106 and be the fun-loving guy, make practice fun because I'm a dick.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I am, but that's
No, I
basically
understand what you're trying to say.
Yeah, you know. Then
You're thinking too about like you're tackling it from the experience level that you have, and you already know the fruits of the labor of wrestling.
Yeah.
But it's difficult to conceptualize that for a freshman who's maybe timid and he doesn't even know if he wants to wrestle next year. So how can we instill enough discipline into him so that he feels that pressure, but not so much that we break him too early? You know what I mean? So it's like, I want him to have fun, but I don't want him to have too much fun. Like, hey, because what's more fun, a fun practice or winning matches? I choose winning matches over a fun practice any day, but you need to have a somewhat fun practice to keep them so that they win matches.
I got a prime example of this. I had a kid last year, he was a sophomore, and name was Drew. He was heavyweight. He's short. He's like 5'4".
Oh, God bless.
Yeah, thick, athletic black kid.
Underhooks.
And we run stairs at the end of practice. We have like 4 flights of stairs up and down. You know, it's a conditioning workout at the end of practice. We have a meet like on a Wednesday or a Thursday duel. He wrestles a JV match before the varsity duel. And he wins. Okay, so he's like 5-0 on JV. Okay, I think 2-0 on varsity. Like he got some spot. Like if there's a
he's feeling his oats.
Yeah, my heavyweight's return state champ. So like if they had a bum walk out there, I'm like, you sit down. JV
Can we add a little nuance to that? So what's happening is you have a stud at heavyweight. So like what the other coaches are doing are basically saying like, I'm not trying to send my guy out there to get beat.
Yeah.
So they'll send their JV. So like you'll kind of reciprocate. Like, oh, okay, well then I already know you're going to smash this kid. So let's get our JV in there. And it's varsity match, but it's JV versus JV.
And then you get to say, hey, I competed on varsity.
Yeah, but can I take a step back before we continue that? I cannot stand that shit. Exactly. We had so many coaches this year that like play the game, and my mentality is always, you know, we had a really big discussion about separating JV and varsity this year because we grew the program till we had like 50 kids come out for wrestling. So like our wrestling room was too small. So we got the cafeteria. And I sat down with the coaches and like the coaches were like, well, if you want, what we can do is we can just give you varsity, Ariane, and then we can coach the freshmen. And I was like, I hate that idea. My freshman year, I didn't know anything about wrestling, and I had a junior by the name of Esmond Ford, rest in peace, who would then go on to be a 2-time undefeated state champion. If I didn't have Esmond in that room, yeah, I would get smashed by him. But if I didn't have him in that room, if I wasn't around him, if I didn't, you know, hear the things that he was saying, if I didn't experience his work ethic and like, I'm getting tired, but I look to my left and he's still going. I was like, oh shit, I gotta be like him. If I didn't have that, I wouldn't be the wrestler that I ever was, and then I wouldn't be the fighter that I ever was, if at all. Yeah. So, like, I didn't like the idea of separating them. We have our practice, everyone on the mats. Yeah. Now, does that make practice fucking hard? Because I have to teach how to do a good wrestling stance for the freshmen, and then also make sure that the seniors are now, they know how to ride legs and properly scramble and chain wrestle, you know? So that's a wide delta in skill set. And I actually think that I don't think wrestling coaches get enough credit. If you go to the football field, they have a special teams coach, an offensive coordinator, a defensive coordinator, a head coach, an assistant coach, right? You have a coach for all this shit. A
All
strength
the
and conditioning coach.
DB
if you go to
coach,
the basketball
quarterback coach,
team,
wide receiver coach,
head
all
coach, assistant coach, and you might even have like a strength and conditioning coach. Wrestling coaches,
We pretty much got to do it all.
you'll be lucky you have two.
Yeah, you'd be
You know
lucky
what
you
I
got
mean?
two,
And
yeah.
then you got all these kids, and you got the kid that's never done a single leg in his life, and you got the returning state qualifier. Have fun.
Yeah. And that goes back to practice lessons plans. Like, okay, these are beginners. Like, hey, you guys over here, I'm going to show you this. New guys, so basically what I would do is I would tell my varsity guys that are experienced, open drill for like 10, 15 minutes while I get these guys working on basic techniques that they need to work on. They get that going. I come down. I show them what we need to work on with the varsity experienced guys. We're working at that. I'm circling the room, making sure that everybody's,
On par.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to change that this year. I talked with Paul Collum a little bit, and I think one of the things I'm going to do this coming season is we're all going to be on the same mats, but until it's time to roll live, we'll be kind of separated. Still close to see what everyone's doing,
Yeah.
but I'm going to take one of the coaches and be like, okay, you're going to be teaching basics because I can't be doing single legs for a week.
And that's basically what we do in
Yeah,
my program.
I think that's what we're getting.
And then
our
we come
program
together
to.
live, So,
Our program, to give us some credit, basically like restarted 2.5, 3 years ago. You know what I mean? Like we're like
I saw
on
you
the
guys,
ascent.
yeah. And that was the second year of my program being back. Like I kind of came over and revamped this program.
It feels fucking great, doesn't it?
It does. Because you can see the fruits of your labor.
Yes.
And
when the kids, they start firing on all cylinders and they're clicking and they're getting that confidence, then you start seeing them receiving the same benefits from wrestling that you did. That's where I got hooked on to coaching.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck yeah. Like your life is going to change because of this and you don't even know it.
Yeah.
Forgive me.
No, you good. So back to the kid. So he gets the JV match that night. He wins. After the match, Dad comes up to me and he says, Coach Brooks, man, he's thinking about quitting. I'm like, for what? He's like, man, he's saying that the training's so hard and there's this and that. I was like, Dad, don't let him quit. He needs this. All his friends on the team. We're in the middle of winter. He ain't got nothing to do. All he's gonna do is get real fat and out of shape for football. I was like, he needs this.
Or doing stupid shit with other people.
Yeah, and I was like, he already on the line. This is helping him. So he stayed out. The following week, my heavyweight was sick, so he was the guy. Luckily, the two teams that we had didn't have good heavyweights. He wins two crucial. So he's like 5'3", 5'4". I promise you, both guys were over 6'2" that he wrestled.
Jesus.
He beat both guys in overtime. And it was because the other guys couldn't even walk. Okay? So
Meaning they were exhausted in
so
overtime.
exhausted. They were so exhausted they couldn't even walk. The last guy he beat in like triple overtime. They both had to get up, hold each other down, and wrestle. He got away, took the guy down, pinned him in triple overtime. And it was a close duel. After the duel, I'm talking to the team, telling everybody good job and praising people. And I said, Drew, remember those stairs you didn't want to run? You know how hard practice has been? Because you put in the work, you won tonight and the other night. Because you worked harder than the heavyweights who were much bigger than you. When you walked on the mat, each one of those guys looked at you like, I'm finna cream this dude. And in the third period in overtime, they were running from you.
Or after the first period, they realized they actually have a match.
Yeah. And
I this guy's for real.
And you've been there.
Yeah.
Because you put in the work. And then I saw it click. He's like, right. So never heard again about him wanting to quit wrestling. And I was just like, that's one of those life lessons that I put you in a position to learn, and I watched you learn that. And that's why I do it.
I had a coach who he was very philosophical to me, and it very helped with the way that I receive information. And he said, the difference between first and second is practice.
Yeah.
He said, I could tell you who's going to win first at a tournament and who's going to win second and who's going to win third and who's going to win fourth. And there's a direct correlation to placement and practice.
That is true. That is true. The guys who don't put the work in, you can just tell when we get to the tournaments.
Whenever we do our breakdown after every practice, I don't do Afton, I don't do Cougars, I don't do anything. I've done the same thing for 3 years now, and that's hard work. And I ask them a question. I go, hard work on 3, why? And the answer is because hard work will beat talent every single time. I will take the kid who has no talent but has a good work ethic over the kid who's talented and won't work.
Same. Same.
So
I prefer it most of the time. I always tell people, because I'm at a private school, people always like, oh man, you can get this kid transfer. I was like, you know what? I don't want an all-star wrestler coming in. I was like, give me a kid who works hard,
who's hungry.
Yeah, and hungry. You know, like I don't want that stud that's been winning.
It's so hard to find that though, because like, so one of the things, the biggest reason why I wanted all the kids on the same mats is, if you would have picked me out my freshman year, I was a 500 wrestler. I was like, you know, the class clown, the bullshitter, whatever. Like, I would have looked at me and been like, this kid's not going to be anything. And then I would then go on to medal at state, and I was like one of our like premier wrestlers out of Afton. And then I would come back years later to help with the program, right?
Yeah.
So like, I would have never picked me out my freshman year. And I try to think to myself, like, what are some of the variables I should be looking for these underclassmen to kind of really, you know, this kid's got some X factor. Like, I'm going to spend a little bit more time with him. Not that I'm deviating from the other kids, but when you have 50 kids, it's kind of like, how is my time best utilized, right? Mm-hmm. I still have no idea what to look for those underclassmen. There have been kids that have surprised me for the negative, where I thought they were going to come, like, you know, hit puberty early, already got some shoulders on them as a freshman. Oh, he's got the talent, or the perfect frame. He's at 45, but he's almost 6 feet tall, but he's skinny, but like not weak. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh my God, this guy could be a state champion. And then you like, he comes to one practice a week, and you're like, Jesus Christ. You know, he spends more time chasing the girls. Mm-hmm. And I still can't put my finger on the variables that make for the kind of kid that can lead a program. Because that's the other thing is, it's really easy to be a good coach when you got good kids.
Yeah.
They'll make you look great.
Yeah.
I have some kids right now that are coming up this year that are like juniors and seniors that are going to be captains and stuff like that. And like, I'm like,
when they set your culture, you know, that's picking the right leaders and captains is very crucial for your team.
Because it sets the culture.
Yeah.
I agree. He was one of our, anyway. Brother, I appreciate you coming on. I think
I appreciate you having me, man.
The conversation definitely steered to some things that I didn't even know myself. So I wanted to say thank you for being open and transparent. And I'm glad we did have the conversation, because you got a little bit out of me that I didn't even think I was going to share.
Yeah. Definitely gonna have some people mad or whatever.
You know what I say is, they say that sunlight is the greatest disinfectant. And I also think that transparency is so important, because I think the miscommunications and the, you know, anxiety that people feel from telling the truth derives from not being able to tell the truth.
Yeah.
So because I couldn't have that honest conversation with you before, your perception of what reality is has always been different from reality. And now I'm scared to say the truth because it might offend you. But if I would have had that conversation with you at the first time, I wouldn't feel this anxiety. And I think if there's anything I'm trying to do with the podcast, and I think I have been doing this, I've gotten a lot of guests to say a lot of honest things, and that's the thing I take the most pride in. Or like I'll have a guest and they'll be like, oh, I didn't even know I was going to talk about that. I'm like, fuck yeah, that's a personal win for me. I like it when guests come on and they have those, we had an idea of what this conversation was going to be. You threw me a curveball, and I'm glad we took that path, because in my opinion, that was the most important part of this conversation, was that when we talked about your mother and subsequently my father and those relationships between paternal and the generational, it's the most important thing. And I'm glad we did talk about that. And I didn't even know that about you. So to be honest with you,
a lot of people don't. You know?
I had an idea of you, and now talking with you for the time that I have just more respect and admiration.
I appreciate that, man.
So
Same.
before we put a cap on this, is there anything else that you want to say or discuss?
No, I think we got out a lot, you know.
I appreciate it. I know that it was tough to coordinate, and we've had to reschedule, and I just wanted to say thank you so much. This was a treat for me, man.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.